coming to you live here from the Sunken Ponds over at Butchart Gardens, a group of floral display gardens in Brentwood Bay, British Columbia, Canada, located near Victoria and Vancouver Islands. The gardens receive over 1 million visitors each day and have been designated a National Historic Site of Canada. We're here today with a very special number episode number 16 of the PondCast, our weekly wrap-up / news / review / stuff related to StarCraft 2 podcast live show here on Twitch and on YouTube now as well. Of course, your host Yaku of Nizaku, and with me today is el dueño de la cantina que entiende la temperatura de Canada, Light_VIP, and as always, we are produced on the episode that is the best number to have her as our producer. We are produced by Brzyszka Pijola Kitore Pihe Herbata Rozpuzelna Kuro 16 Squad Senseki.
What's up, Yaku? What's up? It's great to be here. It's great to be back once again, as you did mention. Today is, of course, the best number, and it means that 16 Squad Senseki Kuro is going to be hosting the entire show.
Yeah, I'm just gonna remove these two guys from here. I'm just gonna do the entire thing myself. This is all just, there's a bait here that they're introducing the show, but actually this is a me show now, so there you go.
It's been her dream all along.
Saying I can just leave and go get some food. Let's go. Let's
go to Macca's car park.
But yeah, we've had a lot going on this week, and we are planning on having a little bit more discussion as well. Like for the previous weeks, we have been going over just recapping the events of the week, but at the same time, there's other content that's being released, and we want to try to shine a light on that as well, on upcoming content and on more to come in StarCraft.
Yeah, and boy, this is a pretty good week of content. Starting with probably some pretty big news. It's been quite a while since something like this has been in the works, but we're going to be kicking off today's show with the announcement that we're getting a new player documentary out soon, TM.
There we go. Announcement of an announcement. We do have a trailer that was released last week called for the Comeback Kid, which is a documentary that's meant to be centered around Clem.
Yeah, it's something that's been in development for quite a while, produced by pretty much the same crew and same people for, I believe, ever since 2022 Katowice or something like that. That's what they were planning. But of course, very recently, in just last month, we actually have a really good climax to a documentary about Clem.
Yeah, so as you're alluding to, basically there've been people, this group of individuals, this group I assume, or maybe just the one guy, kind of working on a documentary over the past couple of years, and I mean, he's been still, I guess, working on it over time, like following Clem to all these events and just, following the story, and I mean, what a way to end it, right? Like, it's not like he knew that the story would end, with Clem becoming the world champion. It just so happened to occur, and I'm sure that also means now he has a lot more work to do, because now I'm sure he's got a lot more to kind of edit together and to structure the overall narrative of the documentary as well.
I mean, I knew this is how it was gonna end.
Like, it was obvious, man. He was specifically 2024. He was gonna win the entire thing. I mean, that was just it.
Specifically, way back in 2022 when this was announced, we all knew that ESL was gonna change the World Championship title. It was no longer gonna be at Katowice. It was gonna be at the Esports World Cup held in Riyadh. We all knew that was gonna happen way back in 2022.
We knew, or at least,
and we all knew that Clem would end up winning the whole thing. Only dropping 2 maps to Raynor. We all knew that was going to be what happened.
Yeah, and because of that, the documentary, it's actually about to come out next week, because, I mean, it was already pre-filmed ahead of time. I was already edited and structured, and there you go.
Yeah. If you know what to plan for, it comes easy.
There you go. So, the trailer is out. We do recommend watching the trailer as well. When it comes to the actual documentary, we don't actually have kind of an announced kind of like reveal date or anything like that yet. But, soon TM. Soon TM.
Yeah, still very much in production. Going to be for the
Mhm.
most part in French language, but thankfully there are subtitles available.
Yeah. Honestly, it's going to be a really fun story to follow, especially considering that they have all this footage from many years ago, whether it's 2023, 2022, and even before that as well. That I mean, yeah, I feel like
12-year-old
there's.
Clem back in 2014 when he was competing at his first LAN.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of potential there and a big story. And I mean, we already know a couple of things, right? Like how supportive his family is, how supportive his dad is, and there's like a lot to go into there. So, yeah,
His
it's
dad shares a lot of a lot of same opinions when it comes to balance.
they're true. So it has a lot of potential to come together quite nicely as well. So yeah, definitely something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Especially considering how long it's been since we've really had any kind of
Yeah.
documentaries for StarCraft 2. They used to be a little bit more prevalent many years ago.
Yeah, I think the biggest two that I can think of were released years ago, like
Mhm.
literally 10 years ago over. Was called State of Play,
Yeah.
where the first one I think it followed Impact, Jadong, and somebody else to try to be like, okay, so what's the deal? You're all
Mhm.
at different like tiers or different stages, and then a sequel or a successor to that came out a while later that was focused more about MVP. I remember back in I think 2017 or 2018, No Regret made
Mhm.
a short documentary, like half an hour long or 20 minutes long, focused on Kelliser, which was really
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah.
I would,
Yeah.
But
I
it's been
would
a
like,
while since then.
I would like to also remind you about the signature series.
I
Yeah.
mean,
I mean, that's not
yeah,
quite what we're.
yeah. So
It's
I,
not the same,
I
but it still is at the commentary style.
it's related. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
related. It's a similar documentary style. The
Mhm.
obviously the main difference is the signature series are so much more compact and
Yeah.
it's more like a summary. I think I would say that it is still this documentary style, but the signature series feel more like summaries of these
Mhm.
players and kind of like kind of like their careers and their journeys.
Yeah, like echoing what you said, like when I think of documentaries, I think of, State of Play, right? That was the big one. But like even then, like considering how many years of StarCraft we've had and how much history there is with a lot of players, with a lot of tournaments, like there is a lot of potential there for content in general. So it is a bit of
Oh
a shame
man,
that we haven't really had too much of that. Not just that, but even like just interviews with players and things like that. I know like the StarCraft historian is trying to work on that and has kind of filled this void that was left open. So yeah, it's really cool to see that there's something coming up in the future.
oh man, I was thinking about saving this towards the end when we're more awake, but now that you do mention it, I gotta ask both of you if there was ever a player that you could make a documentary or a film about, who would it be?
Uh I mean,
You get one to pick.
there's an easy, clear one that would be amazing that could really reach out to a larger audience as well. Now that I think about it, mate, it's got to be Impact. It's got to
Yeah,
be Impact. Yeah,
exactly. It's got the appeal.
it's got all the appeal, mate. All the appeal. What's yours, Kuro? What's yours? And then we'll end with Yaku.
This is actually a difficult one because I actually legit
Mhm.
don't know. Because I
Mhm.
feel like
It-
it should be someone who has had like a fairly long career, but someone who we don't know a lot about. Because I feel like nowadays a
Oh,
lot of
okay.
like players are like streamers as well and stuff like that. So like we
True.
know a lot more about them. But like somebody like Clem is a good example because he doesn't like, go into the public as much. So it's more interesting to see like how it looks from his perspective because you don't really hear from him. So I'm not quite sure who I would actually like. Yeah, I think I actually legit just want the Clem documentary. Not gonna lie. I will
As
watch
we
that.
all do. Yeah.
What's yours? Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. Stick
I
Stick
actually
is
thought
bringing up a good one. A CranKy documentary would be cool.
Mhm.
it
Even though
would.
he's not a player
I think a
now,
correct
but
documentary. Yeah, I mean, yeah, a correct documentary going from his journey of from way back in the day being a pro gamer to meeting Total Biscuit to then retiring from competing to becoming a streamer. That would be pretty interesting. I think that would be a lot of people would be interested in that. But there's only one answer for me, and it's actually one that I did that I did consider for quite a long time now. It's Beyond
Mhm.
2016 when he won GSL completely teamless and then went on to win the World Championship series. I think that would make for a pretty good film.
Yeah, I don't think there's like a wrong answer just because there's so few documentaries. Like there's so many players that their story can be told. Like you can make an argument for like Dark, for Hero, for Solar as well, especially in their own eras, for Rain. Like there's just so many like players and so many like storylines that you can try to follow
Rain
and
is my
try to
second
like
one.
structure. Yeah, of course, gotta be Rain. Like MC as well, like some of these other flashier players, like for sure.
And now that you mention it, since you mentioned MC, it completely slipped my mind. I can't believe it slipped my mind, but a lot of it, but it specifically, I forgot about it because it wasn't available anywhere, or at least it wasn't available in like streaming services in Singapore. There was a documentary a couple of years ago following MC and MMA. That
True.
I still haven't seen yet. I still need to watch that, but hopefully it's available now in Singapore. I find it somewhere.
But yeah, there's a lot of story to tell, and there's a lot of a lot that you can latch onto, a lot of storylines you can latch onto. So, I don't know if we're gonna have interest in more, but I'm definitely looking forward to it from Clem's side, definitely, and definitely something to keep an eye out for in the coming months and the coming year. We'll definitely keep an eye on the Comeback Kid for the next documentary.
My suggestion for the follow-up will be Rainer.
There you go.
He's the only one he's the only one consistently beating Clem.
True. There you go. When it comes to other forms of content that have, of course, been released as of late, we do have a very fun video here from Shopify.
Yes.
I also wanted to very quickly touch on the fact that Kura mentioned the Signature series earlier, and it's something that has kind of fallen by the wayside. In general, I feel like whether it's hearing from players or even stuff like this, when it comes to like group content as well, like team content, this is so easy to do, but it's so rarely done as well. Like I'll be honest, like watching this entire video, like I had a big smile on my face. It was so much fun just seeing them interact like that, and it's a shame we don't have more of it.
You haven't mentioned what the video is.
It is who would win this, a unit comparison video from Shopify Rebellion.
There we go. Yes, it is everything that Light just mentioned. It is some group content from the lovely players over at Shopify Rebellion. They got all of them on the couch. They were looking at basically unit interactions and trying to predict which group of units beats the other group. First, mostly AI v AI, so it's just A moving against each other. But then there's a little segment where TLO, Papi Dario, took the reins of one of the groups and tried to micro it. And man, that was such great bait from Dario, is all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, like this video reminds me so much of like the old Axiom videos, right? Like they did something that is rarely done, which is to kind of like I don't know if I want to say like market their players, but like I just create content with them and just like present them, make them more relatable. Exactly. And it's not that I was also gonna say
a little bit.
Yeah, I was gonna say not that difficult to do, but like if you have like a team structure, you have a manager, if you have like the staff to bring this together, then I do think it's quite worth it. And I think it's just really good, really fun.
Yeah, really fun, really well made, and I think you can also, based on their reactions and based on their reactions to things, you can really get a sense of what each player's personality is like from this video.
Yeah, their personality, their perspective on unit balance as well. Them interacting with each other, like they're having fun, like as a group, like it's all true. But it's really, it's just a really nice way to showcase the players themselves, and it's something that most teams don't do, unfortunately. So it's one of those things where team owners out there follow suit. It took so long to kind of make this a reality here, but I hope we see more from Shopify. It's really good.
I think I saw there was a comment somewhere along the lines where it's like, finally the StarCraft players are getting the same content as the other teams on Shopify Rebellion, and it's like this is I wouldn't say a staple, but much more common in other esports than it is in StarCraft 2 for whatever reason.
Yeah, yeah. It's about time, right? Like how long have they been on Shopify for like what, 4 years?
Since
So
the
it's really
pandemic,
yeah.
something like that.
True, true.
Or I guess Hearthstone joined a little bit later, but still.
So it's great to see that they're doing this whenever they can. If I recall correctly, this was filmed when they were boot camping in Canada in the lead up to DreamHack Atlanta. Because if you remember, they all went to Canada
Right.
and
This is a
then they
while
went
ago.
down to DreamHack afterwards. So it obviously takes a while to kind of edit it all together, but it is really cool that they were able to do something while they had all the players in one place.
Yeah.
Teams.
Teams. Yeah. What's the next boot camp?
Yeah, Team Liquid, who actually,
Storm
I mean, Team
Gaming.
Liquid, they actually
Team
do
Liquid
boot
does boot camp.
camps where Clem and Laser and Skillus, they all actually gather like at the TLHQ. Like that happens like on an annual basis. So just saying, we could have more of this.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. Could have max packs at the Storm boot camp.
There you go. There you go. Can get Max Pac's VTuber avatar for that. It would be amazing.
Or a puppet VTuber.
Yeah. One or the other. But do check it out. It's not too long either. You know, it's less than 10 minutes. So definitely worth it. And
Very good editing, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, highly recommend it to everyone. It's a good laugh. It's good fun. Very short and digestible. But speaking of team content and team owners who are definitely watching right now, another suggestion from another announcement that we have is that Zoun, Zoun, I think is what it is officially, but I'm still going to call him Zoun. Zoun has just come out of the military and is looking for teams.
Let's go. Zoun, he has returned. He's been back, I want to say, almost 2 weeks. Almost 14 days from being discharged from the military. So it's great to see him return. And yeah, it's always one of those things that we are always in the dark, you know, when a player does finish up their military. Are they going to come back? Are they not? And if they come back, how strong are they going to be looking as well? So it's great to hear that Zoun is returning after that military. Something that not all players do.
Yeah. Zest.
Call him out. Zest. Is he even done with the military? We don't know, but he should be back.
Apparently he is, but yeah, he's decided. Apparently he is, but he opened a business.
Oh,
question mark is what the hearsay is going on over in Naver and the forums over at Naver. So
okay,
yeah.
There you go. But yeah, so welcome back, Zoun, to the tournament scene, and we'll see how well or how quickly he can come back.
Yeah, I'll always remember Zoun as being one of the biggest dark horses during his peak in around 2021 and 2022. He would be the player who would eliminate the favorite in a tournament and then go on to get knocked out in a clean sweep in the next round.
Yeah, Zoun, I think he was our most recent example of like an up-and-coming player.
Oh.
Yeah, an up-and-coming player in Korea, like actually finding success. Just because, especially the Korean scene, it's full of veterans. Like, it's full of people that have been competing for a very, very, very long time. And Zoun was a newer face to kind of rise up through the ranks. Yeah, I mean, compared to everyone else, right? So unfortunately, he never quite found the success of even a player like Impact, for example. Where Impact, he made it like the finals of DreamHack Bucharest, for example, when Zoun never really quite made it quite that far, but still like a really strong player and still got like a fan base.
Yeah, I wasn't quite able to make it too far in a lot of the international tournaments. I mean, he did get a second semifinals finish at Home Story Cup, but other than that, it was mostly just Super Tournament and GSL that he was really getting results in.
Yeah, so that's also why it's kind of weird to see that, like, to even say that, oh, he's probably one of the newer faces in the Korean scene, but he also just like sort of retired, did his military, came back, and I think I still would say that as well. So
he hasn't really had his big championship run yet, is the thing. Like, he hasn't won become the champion of a premier event. He's gotten to the finals of Super Tournament a couple of times, but it hasn't really had that big break. Arguably, maybe 2022, you could say, was his breakout year when he was a lot more consistent and was placing. Getting higher placing results a lot more consistently. But again, hasn't won it yet.
Yeah, and
It's a
we'll
bit
see
like
how.
I would say it's a bit like how I would say that Oliveira's breakout year was probably 2019, but the year where he actually solidified himself as like one of the top best players in the world consistently is 2023, when he stopped getting that when he actually won IEM Katowice and he was no longer an up and comer, was when he could no longer be considered an up and comer and just straight up, he was no longer on the up. He had already came. He was wait, that sounds wrong. He was already solidified in the top tier.
Oh yeah, he came and now he's here, and there we go.
Yep.
So Oliveira, he has kind of cemented himself there. When it comes to returning to the scene, I'm curious to see his growth, especially because we have seen some returning players over the past couple of months, specifically Trap and Rogue. It was a little bit unfortunate when it came to their timing, if you recall, where Trap and Rogue, they did come back, but towards the tail end of the season of EPT.
Like 3 weeks before DreamHack Atlanta, something like that. Or not
Yes.
Atlanta, sorry, Dallas.
Yeah, so with their return, it didn't quite line up for them to actually be able to make it into EWC, especially because like they needed more time to actually, get their bearings. And honestly, Rogue and Trap are looking really strong right now, despite it being only, like 3 months or so.
Yeah. I have some high hopes for Zoun. I have some pretty high hopes for Zoun. I will put him in a similar, in my mind anyway, he's in like occupies similar territory as Nightmare to me, in terms of like not necessarily play style, but like upset potential, and if they're in form and if they're on a good day, they can take out almost anyone in their way.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I do think that he. Yeah, I do kind of when I kind of rank them in my mind, I do place like Zoun and Nightmare in pretty similar positions.
Yeah. Like it doesn't happen super consistently, but there's a lot of potential in my mind for them.
Oh yeah, for sure. So best of luck to Zoun, and we're going to be going over some of Zoun's results as well once we get into this week's tournaments, as he has been very active in the online tournament scene, even with his first couple of weeks back. So great to see Zoun returning and putting the work in as well. Just saying, there are some players that come back and they're not playing at everything like they should. They need to be more like Beyond. Beyond plays in everything. It's crazy.
It's insane. Sleep.
We
gotta make a documentary about him.
True. We can talk. We can talk about Beyond not sleeping when we get to the tournaments. But with that, of course, the return of Zoun. Meanwhile, speaking of the return, not a player but of an event, we have the official announcement, and the ability to buy tickets for the next Home Story Cup.
Yeah, the ability to buy tickets, the announcement, and the dates for Home Story Cup number 26, happening on the 29th of November and finishing on the 1st of December. As always, going to be taking place over in, I can't believe I don't remember what the name of the city is, over in Take's hometown in Germany, Krefeld. I almost said Sheffield, but I'm pretty sure that's in a different country. Krefeld, Germany. And we're going to be keeping our looks out at who ends up getting invited to that. I don't believe they've announced that quite yet, but it's pretty interesting. I do appreciate that with Home Story Cup in the past couple of them, they've been, theming it quite a bit. I think ever since Home Story Cup 20, they've committed to having a theme for every Home Story Cup moving forward. I'm not sure what this one is, though, and what the reference is to.
Yeah, I mean, look, if we want to be a little bit critical, I love Home Story Cup. Home Story Cup, it's amazing, it's beautiful, and sometimes they do set a theme, but they don't always commit to it. Look, I'm just saying, what was it? Was it the last one or the one before where they had like a wrestling theme,
WrestleMania one?
Yeah, like WrestleMania theme.
That was the last one, and the one before that, I think, was the Winter Wonderland.
Exactly, and okay, look, you're gonna have a WrestleMania theme. Okay, cool. What do we need? We need a ring. We need a ring. The belt is easy, right? Like the trophies, the belts, sure, whatever. We need a ring. We need to see like some 1v1 action. Yeah, some steel chairs as well. Obviously, we're not gonna make the players fight each other, but like I feel like you can. you
Well,
can
maybe
make
you
use
wouldn't.
of the theme a little bit more in some way, and I feel like they barely did anything with it. Not gonna lie, specifically for the WrestleMania one. Like
Well,
I was, yeah.
I appreciated that they gave every player a nickname.
Uh-huh. Like I wanted to see them, like walking through, like, I don't know, not even a crowd,
With
but like
with a robe and
yes,
with
yes, exactly, with the robe,
gloves
with the
on,
gloves
just
on,
walking up.
exactly. Oh my god. I'm reminded of, for those who don't know, there's a clip out there of, oh my god, what event was it? It was the one that Snoot won many years ago, but where we had special with his player intro where he walked up with the robe. He had some like people behind him, like with massive like fanfares, like cheering him on, as he like walked down the crowd like onto stage, like stuff like that is what we want. It's what I want.
But you know what? Now that you mention it, this is probably the right call because I'm gonna be honest. I'm not sure what warping wisdom isn't is quite exactly. I mean, I'm looking at the graphic itself is giving me some of that like
Are they
80s.
balloons?
It's giving me an 80s vibe. The
Yeah.
balloons, the neon, the grid. It's giving me a bit of a like an 80s vibe, but not sure what the rest of it is meant to be.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what they do with it. We'll see. Regardless, I'm sure it's going to be an amazing time. Last Home Story Cup, we were actually the B stream. With the B stream for Home Story Cup, we might be the B stream again. Depends if they even need one. We'll definitely try to get involved in our own way. But regardless, it's a great way to end the year as well. Especially considering that right now we're in a little bit of a drought when it comes to big events. We're in the off season, of course, so at least we have something. At least we have a big event like this to look forward to.
Yeah. And it's also the appropriate dates, I would say, because once again, keeping my hopes up for DreamHack Stockholm. I believe that's 16th of December or something like that. So
exactly,
the players who go to Home Story Cup, they can camp out in Krefeld for 2 weeks and then go to Stockholm.
There you go, confirmed because they're organizing around Stockholm. Does that mean anything? Maybe.
Maybe put another clue on the board, or getting somewhere.
Exactly. Well, our hopes is still up. Their hopes is still up for DreamHack Stockholm. But regardless, of course, Home Story Cup is at the end of the year. Whether it's going there live or just making sure that you're free that weekend as well, making sure that you don't have any kind of plan set to just pull an all-nighter and tune into some Home Story Cup.
Yeah, it's great fun.
There you go. With that, we can now get into some actual tournaments that are taking place instead of those that are up and coming. We have the Platinum Hyper Cup. We mentioned this the previous edition last week, but this is a tournament series that's a little bit irregular. It doesn't happen on necessarily like a weekly or monthly or bi-weekly basis, but every single edition they do have a different theme.
Indeed, they do, and this time, oh boy, we had. So last week we talked a lot about 2v2 tournaments and how a lot of organizers and a lot of players were having fun with that. This week we have not a 2v2 tournament, but a similar concept. The Platinum Hyper Cup number 9 was an Archon tournament.
Yeah, this is it kind of brings something to the forefront here. We were talking earlier last week how like, it's great that we have all these 2v2 tournaments because it's like a format that's been neglected for so long, and finally it's getting like a revamped map pool and potentially another map pool in the future as well. Like now it's getting more attention and it's really fun. It's not balanced, but it's a way to have something different in competitive StarCraft 2. And then we remember Archon mode? Yeah.
I didn't until today. Forgot about it entirely until now.
Yeah, it's I would say an even more kind of neglected part of SC2, more so than the team games. But Archon mode is also a thing. And also very unique and has a lot of potential as like a format as well. So really cool to see that at least it's featured here in a show match.
Yeah, showish match, I suppose. And this wasn't an open tournament, so yeah, I guess technically it was an invite kind of thing. Was also won by one of the most cursed combinations for EVA.
Oh no.
The Protoss Archon.
I feel like we're learning here a little bit as well, because as you mentioned, they are a Protoss Archon. Makes sense. You know, Eba playing his main race. Jumi's up there with him, and that I would imagine that Jumi's maybe even a part of an influence is influencing Eba as well in some way, shape, or form.
Oh
Like I don't
no,
know. I don't see them together. It
that can only
doesn't
go
bode
well.
well. The Protoss
Seeing them
Zoomers.
together and succeeding, that's
Mhm.
I worry. I worry about the future now.
I do as well. But it's great to see them competing. Something that's very interesting to me is the duo of Inexorable and Baby Marine. So for those who are unaware, Inexorable, we've been casting a lot of Inexorable over the past couple of months. He is an up and coming Brazilian Terran player. He really started kind of rising through the ranks like 2022, so pretty recently actually, where he hit GM. And from what I know, he's on Platinum Heroes, and he's been practicing a lot and learning a lot from the NA Terran players. I'm referring to Vindicta and Future. He's been learning a lot from them, practicing a lot. But to see him teaming up with Baby Marine, that's interesting to me. Like, they're not teammates or anything like that. They live on different parts of the world, but they happen to potentially be friends.
Yeah. Not a pairing that I would have necessarily thought of. Not a pairing that immediately comes to mind, but it's nice to see them competing together here. And Inexorable is actually the only America's player in this event. So that's probably something that had to be overcome a little bit, the ping factor. But it's nice to see that they are competing together, and they are hopefully practicing and brainstorming together.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's necessarily safe for everybody else for the ladder. I'm not sure if that's necessarily what you want if you compete on the EU ladder, but the invasion of the Americas, Terran.
exactly. How Inexorable is now influencing a Baby Marine, potentially. But yeah, it's just really cool to see them pair up and join forces. And as you mentioned, it's just not really something that I would have expected. So yeah, always just really cool to see how some of these players interact outside of the game or even in pairings like this. So yeah, really cool to see. And hopefully we see some more Archon mode. Again, it's something that we rarely get in StarCraft anymore in competitive play, despite the fact that I imagine Archon mode is more competitive or is more balanced than 2v2. But again, is kind of neglected.
Yeah. And there was a lot of speculation, right, about Archon mode, about how I think the most common kind of delegation during Archon mode or division of play in Archon mode is one player just macros, the other player just micros, and people were speculating about that. If say if you could have just, for instance, in the Terran side, if you could have just one guy controlling Reapers and another guy controlling the production of Reapers, how insane, how like broken that can end up being. But we never really saw that potential come to fruition, in part because I think a lot of people just don't really play Archon.
I would say a lot of it came down to Blizzard and its marketing. I don't think they did a good job at like promoting Archon mode and pushing it as a format and pushing it like as a thing to even do on the ladder or any kind of tournament play.
I was gonna say, well, the biggest problem with Archon mode is that if you want to play Archon mode, you have to have a friend.
True.
You can't just play with randos, and that's like a huge obstacle. That's a huge obstacle for Blizzard players or Blizzard gamers.
For sure. I think what's interesting is that nowadays Archon mode is mainly known for like practice. If you recall, infamously, you've got players like Clem or players like Raynor or players like Cyril, where they get like 4 or 5 of their pro gamer friends to like play against them to like get ready for big tournaments. It's always so hyped to hear that as well. Like, it's so exciting, and you want to see those games. Like, you want to see like a 5v1 versus Cyril and Raynor and Clem where they're like in this practice mode and practice dungeon. You never do. You hear about it. I think there are actually some videos of practice with Clem out there. But yeah, like, it's exciting to hear about, but we never really like get to see any of that stuff.
And there was one that was posted on Team Liquid's channel at one point. I think it was Clem versus Mana and Elaser, was it? In an Archon.
I want to say the best way to view those training Archon games is to catch the player streams, because they usually stream it.
Yeah, like that.
Ooh,
That
pro
happens
tip.
sometimes where
Life
like some
hack.
of the players would stream it as well, but like it'd be nice if we got more of that in some way or even in tournament play. But yeah,
Yeah, they
that's why.
release those replays after the tournament ends.
Uh huh.
Hopefully, that's my other suggestion. Team owners and team management. That's one way of getting whatchamacallit,
Mhm.
fans.
There you go. There you go. So, regardless, shout out to Platinum Heroes and Hyper One for making this Archon event, and we'll see if they do more in the future. I mean, I say that I'm sure next week we're going to be seeing something different as well. Is there anything you want to see, Yaku? Like when it comes to like different formats, different tournaments. We've seen a lot of 2v2 recently. We've seen now an Archon mode here in Platinum Hyper Cup. What else is there? You'll see a 3v3 mono battle.
Or RTD.
Mate, remember remember RTD? Oh my god, that's a blast from the past. Oh my god.
Random tower defense
Yeah.
in the arcade. That's fun.
The one
Does that
game
still
where I could
exist?
actually beat Seed.
Jesus, I have not thought of RTD in years.
They updated.
I hope they.
Since the last time we played.
Oh, you know what we need? Kerrigan Survival.
That's what we need. Hearthstone Battlegrounds.
God damn it.
Oh no.
Best of luck to Hyper One and Planet Heroes for whatever they come up with next. But yeah, with that, congratulations to for Jimmy and Eva for coming out on top. Did drop a map in the finals, but outside of that, they look like a very strong pairing. I'm sure for a good reason.
Yeah, an unholy pairing.
Uh-huh. Yes. The unholy pairing.
Eba.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Or is it Eba Umi?
Hmm.
It's one or the other.
Would it be for Eba?
It would either be for Eba or Eba Umi. I hope it's for Eba. That's a little bit easier to say.
Yeah, true. Speaking of different kind of events, we do have something that I hadn't heard of before, but it is also organized by Hyper One, even casted by Hyper One. It is the Circle Derping Episode 4, A New Cope. That's quite a title for a tournament.
Okay, so here's the fun fact. I think that was even before the Hyper One became a team. What Hyper One was doing, other than making maps, was then making tournaments for players to play those maps, and he would give those tournaments very silly names to the point where he was like coming up like, "Hey, Wikipedia people, so can I put this on the page?" And they're like, "No, we're gonna ban that name." Okay, so can I put this name on the page? No, you can't. He was go through like multiple iterations to get the tournament on. So yeah.
He has to go through. Yeah. He's just walking a very fine line with the Wikipedia editors.
I just love. So I'm quickly going over some of these names. I think I'm getting deja vu. I think we've spoken about this before. I love that episode 2 is before episode 1.
Yes, I was about to bring that up.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful,
and it's also very fitting that it's called Attack of the Kongs, seeing as how it is number 2.
Definitely. So
yeah, no, I was just gonna say, yeah, fun little tournament. Most of these are, well, not most of these, but a lot of these maps as well were maps that Hyper One created and wanted to test out. And we were actually informed about this I think 2 or 3 weeks ago when we went over the Big Brain bouts. The Big Brain bouts that Roddy went through, or that Roddy organized. That was a free-for-all. Apparently, it was partially inspired by. I don't know if that's true. If it was partially inspired, but yeah, Hyper One, because he's been doing Circle Derpling Cup or the Circle Derpling Derping tournament for a while. He was involved in that as well, as he was informing us, because it's free-for-all.
Yeah. There you go. There you go again. Yeah, I did hear that there was some history with Hyper One and free for all kind of tournaments and events like this. So, for those who are curious, this was an FFA. This was a free for all event, potentially showcasing, as Crew did mention before, some maps that Hyper One did create. So, yeah, just more of a fun event that did take place.
What would episode 5 be called?
I was about to say that. I
What
look
Strikes
forward
Back?
to episode 5 of. I mean, the
Not
Smoge Strikes
Smoke
Back.
Strikes Back.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Or
Episode-
that had to be like, hold on, maybe the
episode
Kong
6,
Strike Back.
The no, I don't think that fits. What is the Empire in this case?
That's what. That's what I was trying to think of. Yeah, like what is the
The
Empire?
Empire is the All Things Protoss subreddit potentially on
The
Discord server.
The All Things Protoss subreddit Strike Back. Oh
The
god.
subreddit strikes back.
There you go.
The server strikes back.
There you go. Beautiful, beautiful. So yeah, there you go. I mainly look forward to the
episode 6, which is Return of the.
Who would the good guys be?
There are no good guys.
Oh no, not like this. But yeah, I'm gonna be looking forward to. The thing that I'm looking forward to most is the title of the next event. So get on that, Hyper One. Think on it. As he does get ready. Meanwhile, moving on, we do have our amateur events. Masters 1 Open number 85. This is our monthly Bronze 2 Masters event, specifically 4.7k MMR. And we were able to, host our events earlier this week.
Yeah. It's good to see a lot of familiar faces coming up here. Players like Geohen, Droptimus, Roselia. Players who have been very long time participants in our amateur tournaments.
Mhm.
And also a couple of names that I don't recognize, if I'm being honest. Like, particularly Samir Duran, who may have played previously, but I don't quite remember, and Serenity.
Yeah, we're getting more regulars in our tournaments, so do appreciate to see them. Great to see that the finals, it'll go all the way to the ace match as well. And again, these are tournaments that we used to host more regularly back in the day, but nowadays we do host them on a monthly basis instead. So yeah, if you happen to be out there between the ranks and leagues of bronze and 4.7k MMR, then do consider.
Do come around and just sign up, have a good time. It's
Also, as a note, for those who may recognize the name, Samir Duran is a rename from Mar, a player who has played in Sidakli Opens before.
That's who it is. There we go.
Yeah, did name change in the end. And moving on, we do have something a little bit different as well. We have the FSL. This is does it stand for the Family Star League? It started off, I want to say, as
Star League.
Yeah. It started off as like a passion project by KJ Freedom, and I think he had close friends and family members compete, and I think they kind of opened it up a little bit more. But it's really cool to see him continuing the league going.
Yeah, this is an amateur team league. It looks like it is pretty much following the same format as WTL. So anybody who is familiar and who does follow WTL is probably going to be very familiar with how this format is meant to work. But again, it is for amateur players. Which what I'm hearing, Light, is that we are going to be competing in the next season.
We have to be related to KJ if we want to.
I am related to KJ. We share a birthday, as I found out literally today.
There you go.
We share a birthday.
But I guess in a way similar to Hyper One, the FSL has different formats. Last season was Codes. It's Codes stuff, tournaments with group stage into playoffs and all that stuff. So it looks like this season it is a team league instead. It is quite impressive that KJ has quite kind of a large array of players available.
His progeny.
Exactly. True, exactly. So all of his kids, or how many players are involved? Um, but all of his
I mean,
kids
not all
are
of them are. Like, I
jumping
don't
in.
think all of them are active, but
Mhm.
yeah, it's like 30, over 30, something
Yeah,
like that.
there you go. So to look forward to it, it's going to be casted by Hyper Turtle and War Bunnies. I believe
I got
over on KJ's channel.
Yeah, I got very excited when I opened the Wikipedia page, and until I realized I misread that name. War
Oh my.
Bunnies, I mean.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
R.I.P. Warbuff.
True. Feels bad. We'll get more of War Buffalo in the future, I'm sure. But yeah, look forward to it. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun matches. We already had week 1 underway, and we'll keep you guys updated on the conclusion of the FSL. Interesting team names as well. We've got the Angry Space Hares, we got Cheesy
The
Nachos,
bunnies.
Infinite Cyclists. I'm curious if they're all cyclists on that team.
Are they all just own, whatchamacallit, ellipticals,
Mhm.
or, no, those machines?
Uh-huh.
Pull the boys, that's who I'm supporting this season.
See, you would be so fitting on that team. You need to apply. Rage's Raiders as well. And I'll be honest, when it comes to Pull the Boys, I will be very disappointed if in every single game these players don't pull the like they have to pull the boys every single game, regardless
Every
of
single
race, regardless
game,
of
not
matchup.
even
Yeah.
match, just
Yeah.
every single map, every single game.
Yep.
There we go, okay. That's their
Cool.
signature.
Yeah. I mean, it has to be,
Yeah,
right?
obligated
Like,
to, yeah.
otherwise they kicked off the team. Uh,
Then you get
so,
pushed from the team.
there you
Out
go.
of the team.
Exactly. Won't even be pulled. So best of luck. Best of luck to all of our lovely players here. Some of them I do recognize. Some of them have even played in our tournaments before, like DLS Mizzle, for example. I think he was like a
Dismizzle,
manager.
yeah.
Yeah, I think he was a manager for a while
Or
for Psystorm.
I used to misread it as DM Sizzles, but
Okay. I like how you
that's
don't
not
have.
DB Troy.
I like how you don't have no regret. You have regret, just straight
Yeah.
up.
Lots of regret, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of regret there. Smooch.
Little
And man-
Reaper sounds familiar to me, but I think I might be mixing him up with Reaper.
No.
Mhm.
Little Reaper was actually this like really young player, like I don't know, 11 years old or something that we have seen at the LAN once, if you remember.
There we go.
There was two.
Obviously, I don't. I only
think-
vaguely remember the name.
I think it was some small LAN where FSL was played, and we had those two like very young players, like 11 or so, and they were taking part in that tournament.
The next Clem. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. I remember that a lot of the players that compete in FSL are like 11, 12, like 8 years old sort of thing.
I just realized we have a Rex here who also plays Protoss under Cheesy
Oh.
Nachos.
There you
He has to compete with Taiwanese Rex.
go. He does. But yeah, with that, we just do have the FSL, so we'll keep you guys updated. Then heading on over, we have our OSC events of the week. We have OSC King of the Hill. Again, it's always great to see the King of the Hill formats. Always great to see any players going on deep runs. And we had a Mio Maika with a bit of a comeback. He took down some pretty big names early on.
Yeah, took it out young Yakov, who has been very active in participating these past couple of months. So that's already an impressive result. He took out Demi in that age-old rivalry, but obviously most impressive to me is that he took out Nicorakt, who has been on the rise. He has been looking very in form in the past 2 weeks. I mean, just in the last podcast, we were talking about how much Nicorakt has really been on fire, how he's been winning a lot of these events, or at the very least placing in the finals. And now Mio Maika took him out.
Yeah, I mean, considering that Nick...
Start.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, considering that Nicorakt is this week's King of the Hill, because he got revived later.
He did come back, yeah.
Yeah, he did come back. He did win. So again, just goes to show how good of a player he is. But yeah, I do agree here that for for Mio Maika to defeat Nicorakt and young Yakov, two very big names currently, it's quite impressive.
He was also the defending King of the Hill from last week, right?
I believe so.
I believe so, yeah. So then he came. he wasn't quite able to make it into the first round, but he did
Mhm.
come in round number 3. But unfortunately,
Mhm.
was forced to give up his title temporarily.
Mhm. And just double checking, so Nick Racked did win. So it was 2 weeks ago when Nick Racked was the reigning king of the hill.
Ah,
So
there
it
we
was it was 183 when he was the reigning king of the hill. So I mean, again, like, he's not a stranger to the crown of OSC, so he does
Yeah,
maintain that, I guess, at the end of
he
this
is
week.
very high. Yeah,
He
or he
is.
gets high.
There you go. We had Fujimi having a short run thereafter, did put an end to Mimika's win streak. We had a Geralt popping off. Geralt taking down so many players here. We had Baby Marine, Fujimi, Bappy, Hon Mono, Iba playing a Zerg, so off racing a little bit there, and even taking down Cristiano. Very impressive.
And that age-old rivalry going on in Poland. Very nice stuff here for Hanmono, and would have ended the evening as the king of the hill,
Mhm.
if not for Nikorak coming back from the dead and
There you go.
just saying, we cannot. No, I'm not allowing a Protoss king of the defending king of the hill. He's been
Exactly.
influenced by Beyond.
I'm sure they're in cahoots. I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, really cool to see that Nick Racked was around as well from the beginning to the end. Even though he wasn't playing in the majority of the event, he was still available. So again, the passion is real for Nick Racked, waiting for his moment to strike back. And yeah, it did end up sniping that final game. And I mean, is this week's King of the Hill?
Tis this week's King of the Hill. Gets himself a nice little bounty for putting an end to Geralt's win streak. But of course, Geralt, with that super impressive win streak, to be honest, one of the longest in an OSC King of the Hill, does make it out of this event as the clear winner.
Oh yeah, yeah. 67.5 USD. So very nice kind of claim there for Geralt. Did walk away with the majority of the prize pool in this week's tournament. And again, we always do champions, and we do always kind of hype up players like Geralt, like Nicoract, like Cristiano as well. Cristiano didn't quite get to shine here. Not this week, not this time by Geralt. So yeah, very impressive stuff there by Geralt. Able to clean house.
Yeah. Clean house and clean wallets.
There you go. Eddie's
Which
what?
now I think about it, I think it's the same.
Uh-huh.
Means the same thing.
It's all good. Moving on, we do have the OSC mid-season playoffs this week. So we casted the first 2 days or the first 2 weeks of OSC mid-season playoffs. Then Just Jordan covered week 3 or day 3, and week 4 or day 4 was covered by Steadfast.
Indeed, it was. And I have to go to Steadfast's channel and catch a VOD because we do have updates here. The match that I was anticipating from last week has been played out, and we do have a result from that. It was very, very close. It went all the way to the ace match. Cham versus Hon Mono. Cham ended up taking the victory in the end here, but once again, I just really want to see what actually transpired in these games, because these are arguably the most chaotic players of their respective scenes.
Oh yeah,
of their respective races.
Exactly. Like in general, we don't really get to see much Cham anymore. Like whenever we can see Cham is like WTL, like when he plays for Starlight Twinkle. Outside of that, we rarely get to experience his matches or his games. So yeah, it's great to see that he went all the way to the ace match, and I do look forward to watching those VODs as well, because I'm sure they had a chaotic series.
Oh yeah, how many swarm hosts? How many?
True.
How many swarm hosts? How many Pult boys? How many? That's what I want to know.
Definitely. Other updates: Mana takes down Shameless 2-0. So that is kind of the veteran Protoss player in Europe taking down a newer face, a newer comer. I do think very highly of Shameless, but experience comes out on top there. Mana can still go toe-to-toe with some of the younger players in the scene, so he brings him down. Mana versus Cham, I feel like there's got to be history between those two players. They've both been around for many, many years at this point.
Without a doubt. I'm trying to remember if they've ever been on the same team, but I don't think that's really been the case. Cham, for a very long time throughout Heart of Swarm and early Legacy of the Void, was on Root, and Amana's been on TL since forever, really. So, but they did, but I think they did not necessarily collaborate, but they did have like cross like the Root Boys and the Team Liquid Boys did have lands together quite a bit in at least in the Americas when there was back when we had WCS America.
Yeah. So I do look forward to seeing these two faces that have been around for a long time face off here as well. So I'm definitely looking forward to Mana versus Chem. I'm definitely going to be tuning into that. Meanwhile, we have a big, I would say, upset. I mean, it is a PvP, but Gerald takes down a Skilless 2-0. We saw Gerald pop off in OSC King of the Hill, and not just there, but here as well. I would definitely say that Skills was one of the big names to make a deep run in this tournament, and still can, but Gerald knocks him down.
Yeah, not just knocks him down, but knocks him down 2-0. That is unheard of, and again, just well, not necessarily unheard of, but a massive upset, like you were saying, and once again, really a testimony to how informed Gerald is right now. I'm just gonna say it. I think he might be able to, if he continues, if he's still in form from what we saw in OSC King of the Hill, I think he can take out Bjorn.
Yeah, I mean, clearly he's in form this week, right? Like this week, like Geralt, he was able
If he
to
can maintain his form, yeah.
exactly. So very strong week for Geralt. You just mentioned Bjorn. Bjorn takes down Wayne 2-0. Bjorn is another big favorite to make a deep run. So is Wayne, I would say. Like Wayne, he's one of the stronger Zerg players in this entire bracket, but it is a shame that he faced off against Bjorn this early on in the tournament.
Yeah. I mean, thankfully, even though it is early on in the tournament, it is still the upper bracket, so there is still a second chance, but obviously it's a little bit more grueling to go through the lower bracket than the upper bracket, especially if you get knocked down to lower. If you get knocked down early.
Yeah, because there are just so many games. Like there's so many matches that you have to play through down there. So skipping as many rounds as possible would be ideal if you make a further progress in the upper bracket. But best of luck to Wayne down there. We had Cristiano taking down Nick Rack 2-0. We were talking about Nick Rack and how he is our reigning king of the hill this week for OSC. But Cristiano, he kind of vents his rage a little bit on Nick Rack here. It takes a 2-0. Impressive stuff. Even though Cristiano, we didn't really get to see him shine in OSC King of the Hill, he's able to perform here.
Yeah. Not in the hill, but in the valley? Question mark? Okay.
Yeah, maybe. Sure.
We're gonna be using terrain, yeah.
So nice win there by Cristiano. Scrolling up, I would say this might. Do I want to say this is an upset? I was expecting this to go to the ace match. So a very strong performance by Nightmare. Nightmare takes down Spirit 2-0. That is impressive. Like Spirit, he has been looking strong as well recently.
Yeah, I'd say that's an upset. It might just be my Terran bias showing, but I would consider Spirit to, on paper, be higher ranked than Nightmare. I do consider him to be top 3 at the very least, Terran and EU, whereas Nightmare is, again, to me, has always been more of a dark horse. He has potential. He has a lot of upset potential, and on a good day, I think he can really make it far into a tournament and potentially win the whole thing, but that hasn't been something that's been super consistent with Nightmare historically. But he had a pretty good week, and I guess we can get into that as we talk about some of our other tournaments. But yeah, Nightmare, I guess, had a really good week. He's been looking in form, and it probably shouldn't surprise me that much, but still, it was still a 2-0 sweep and not a 2-1, so...
Yeah, I always bring this up whenever we cast Nightmare, especially like in East Olympian Cups, for example, where Nightmare, he has some killer PvP and PvT, and we've seen him defeat Clem, we've seen him defeat Cure. Like Nightmare, he's a beast. Usually in these tournaments, Nightmare, I would say his weakest matchup is PvZ. Especially a lot of the Korean Zerg players. So players like Dark, players like Solar, players like Shin as well. Like they're usually the ones that have a more dominant showing against Nightmare. But it's something that he's been working on, and it's definitely something to bear in mind coming into these matches, right? It's like Nightmare could now that he's taken down Spirit, he can have a deep run here. Now that he's going to be facing off against Cristiano and maybe even Max Fax or Shin in the next round. Best of luck. Best of luck to Nightmare.
Yeah, I think I definitely rank Nightmare, in PvP at least. I rank Nightmare higher than I would Cristiano. But then, like you said, the semifinals is going to be a little bit tough for him, right? Because whether he faces Shin, Mio Micah, or Max Pax, those are all, for Nightmare specifically, those are all pretty massive hurdles to overcome.
Definitely. So, best of luck there as well. But yeah, with that, congratulations to all those advancing players. We also have Max Pax. He did take down Miyamika 2-0. At least that was
Oh,
updated on Wikipedia. So looks
I'm
like
using I'm using the
yeah,
wrong one.
I know it's all
I'm
good.
using challenge. Yeah.
Yeah, so it looks like that match also did occur as well. I mean, Max Pax is one of the heavy favorites. I mean, he is an OSC champion. Max Pax, he's won an OSC championship in the past, so he's also a big name in this bracket as well.
Without a doubt. And Nightmare's specialty is PvP. I wanna say that if he does face Max Pax in those semifinals, I wanna say Nightmare will win it, but
Maybe. Yeah.
we'll see. I mean, first off, we need to know. First off, he needs to beat Christianer, and then he needs to figure out who his opponent after that's gonna be.
Yeah, and Max Pax versus, like, honestly, all these quarterfinals matches are so hype. Max Pax and Shin, that's going to be a rematch from, if you remember last week, we casted Max Pax versus Shin in the
Wardy,
grand
yeah.
finals of the Wardy TV tournament, or the Wardy TV Monday, and Shin took it. Like, I feel like we all rate
Shin
and rank
took it
Max Pax very
in-
highly, but
Yeah. Shin took it in what was probably the weirdest ace map that I've seen in a very long time. In a map scenario that I was ready to call for Max Pax
yeah.
until Shin just stayed calm and won it.
So this is a bit of a grudge match, or at least a rematch between Max Pax and Shin. Last week, Shin took it in a best of 5. This is going to be a best of 3, so there's less room for error. It's going to be, I would say, more difficult for Shin to pull off. But I am looking forward to the outcome of that series, and the series itself as well.
Oh yeah, how angry Max Pax is. But I want to know.
Yeah, we'll see if Shin can withstand the wrath of Max Pax in next week's match. So best of luck to Shin, best of luck to Max Pax, and all the other players involved as well. Again, just really good matches in the quarterfinals. As we mentioned before, we should also mention again that we don't know the channel that these matches are going to be streamed on. Typically for the OC mid-season playoffs, we kind of like pass the torch from caster to caster. We've covered some matches, Just Jordan, Steadfast. I'm sure Wardy's going to be getting involved at some point. I'm sure Chicken Man and many of these other casters that do get involved in OSC events are also going to get involved. So keep an eye out.
The OSC reunion event, in a way.
Exactly. All the casters, they come together, they collaborate, and keep an eye out on the OSC Twitter accounts for whenever they do announce when it will be taking place. So yeah, keep an eye out.
Stay peeled.
Exactly. With that, we're going to be moving on to our show match events. You were mentioning the Basilisk Big Brain Bouts earlier. Currently, I believe we're done with the FFAs. We've put them on hiatus for the time being. I'm sure they'll come back eventually, but now we're coming back to these more standard kind of show match formats.
Indeed, we are. And once again, we have our opening acts leading up to that big main event, the Little Bouts, if you want to call them that. A lot of... Well, actually, not that much Protoss. How do I look at it? I see 3 Protoss players, and I'm like, that's too many. 3 Protoss players out of 9. Wait, no, out of 6. And I'm like, that's too many. Yeah, it is way too many. But no, it's not. We had Littlelex going up against Daniello, 2 players who I have to admit I'm not too familiar with.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with Latelex. My brain desperately wants to say latex, not gonna lie. But
it was a struggle for me too, yeah.
Latelex takes it 2-1. I am more familiar with Daniello. I believe we have casted him in Polish events in the past. Is not necessarily kind of a big name in Poland, but we have seen him pop in from time to time, so at least a little bit more familiar with him. Didn't quite take it in the end. In the end, it was Latelex. So great to see an Italian Protoss player rising up and taking down a more well-known player. So impressive.
Yeah. Italian pride coming through, you know. Italy. Speaking of Italy,
I mean, that was the thing. Like, if you remember, like, I think last week, the Big Brain Bounce was like Latin America versus Europe. Like, there was a bit of a theme going on there, and it feels like this one is also a little bit thematic as well.
Yeah, it's Italy versus the world. Again.
There you go. Yeah, so we had Lelex winning his series. We had Azura versus Nidix. I'll be honest, I haven't seen much of Nidix recently, so I wasn't really sure where to place him. But a very close series went all the way to the ace match as well. Did go the way of Nidix.
Indeed, it did. But like you mentioned, a very close series. And then we got to another pretty exciting little bout. Baby Marine went up against Cham in that final opening act. Did go to the way of Cham in the end, but once again, just two players who we don't normally see interact too much against each other or with each other.
Yeah, I'd really love to see this series and even the future Cham ones, just because more people are exposed to European matches and European players just because they play in more tournaments and there are more like European friendly events throughout the week. You have a better idea of kind of their skill set and a better idea of how good they are compared to others. For Cham, he is more of a wild card and a wild horse just because you rarely see him. You rarely get to see him play. So for him to show up into 3-1 Baby Marine is very impressive, and again, it really shows the caliber of the Latin American scene.
Yeah, really does. This is now that you mention it, this is the second tournament that we're going over that where Baby Marine was interacting with somebody from Latin America.
I was thinking that as well.
Potentially a little bit of a story there. Potentially,
Yeah.
I blame Ryu. I would blame Ryu personally.
True. Is that what happened? Did Ryu did he have a word with Baby Marine and
him?
Yeah, it's possible. I wonder what's the connection between Cham, Ryu, Inexorable, and Baby Marine. You know, I can see their faces on the board. You know, we're connecting the dots in some way, and we'll figure it out. We'll figure out the conspiracy.
We're circling. We're putting down. We're trying to figure out who is the capo.
Yes. How is Lorimbo involved? He's also from Italy.
Yes.
Coincidence? I think not. How is he involved? In some way. I'm sure he is.
Yeah.
Hold on. Oh, God.
I was under the impression that Lorimbo's one job is to just annoy Gemini.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fucking erect right now. Oh my god.
Okay, I just had to quickly do that.
We have the soundboard. Yes, we finally get to use the soundboard.
I had to just very quickly sneak in
Bam,
Lorimbo being
never
erect.
on stream.
Oh no.
We finally got to use it. Oh,
Beautiful. Oh. And I almost forgot. I was about to move on. Then there was the main event.
That was a main event, yes.
There was a bit of an event after the Cham Babe Marine series, which is okay as well. Max versus Lambert.
Yeah. A little bit of a PVZ going on there to not a huge upset, I suppose. It was It did end up going Max Pax's favor. I was expecting Lambo to take a map, but hey, Max Pax, when he is in form and when he doesn't have to play with ping, he is really something else.
I mean, we spoke about the wrath of Max Pax, and you know this is right after he lost to Shin, so I'm sure that
I have to keep that in mind. Yeah.
Yeah, if you remember the villain storyline of Beyond Week, where you know he wanted to kind of vent and kind of vent his frustrations on Protoss like non-stop throughout that week. I feel like this might be the beginning of something. I don't know, but that's a very strong statement. Yeah, from Max Pax.
You're like, it's not just PVZ. It's just that my opponent, you know. Whatchamacallit?
The vengeance is real. So, very strong performance there by Max Pax. Again, kind of what we expect to see. In a sense, I'm sure Lambo came in very prepared, and I'm sure there were very, very entertaining matches nonetheless. I would have definitely preferred to have seen more back and forth there, but Max Pax showing why he is the strongest Protoss in Europe.
Yeah, without a doubt. I'm here with my sad German Protoss noises. Showtime and Forjumi.
Don't like this. But moving on, we do have the Sunrise Cup, our weekly event for the Chinese region. We do have Jollywa Loves having a deep run this time.
Hell yeah.
Beautiful.
Jollywa Loves, otherwise known as Jadong Oz, otherwise known as Sad Protoss, and I believe at one point also Young Zest.
That's another
That
one.
might,
That's another one.
might be okay. I was thinking of a different player entirely. Shaking my head, Jollywa. But yes, did make a deep run. Did actually end up winning it this time, and a little bit of a blast from the past. I feel like Jollywa Loves was very active in around 2021, 2022, but took a little bit of a step back throughout 2023. So it is nice to see him come back here and win an event, a tournament.
Yeah, definitely. It was last week where Jollywa Loves actually got knocked out by Lemon in the semifinals. This week there is no Lemon, so there was no kind of reigning champion kind of fighting for that title once again, and Jollywa having a much more dominant performance, not dropping a single map actually.
Yeah, I'm now realizing that. He beat Nanami, he beat Oriana in the grand finals, and
Yeah.
he didn't drop a single map against anyone.
Exactly. So, very impressive performance there by Jollywa Loves. For those who are maybe unfamiliar with him, we would cover and cast Jollywa Loves, aka Sad Protoss, aka Jadong in the regional EPT events for China, and also would sometimes come in as a sub player for Starlight Twinkle in WTL.
Yeah. I feel like he's one of the players who we followed for quite a while, but still don't honestly still don't know that much about.
Yeah, he's still like I would say in the middle of the pack when it comes to the overall Chinese scene. But winning this series does bode well, and in general, the Chinese scene has been getting stronger and stronger over the past couple of years, with players like Lancer, Coffee, and Firefly really stepping up and really kind of rising up to distinguish themselves alongside Oliveira against the rest of the world and the rest of the regions, all the other regions. So
The rest
it's really
of
cool
Asia,
to see,
if you will.
the rest of Asia, exactly.
Rest of Asia minus Korea. I think it's the official. I think it's the official name of the region from ESL.
Yeah, so it's really cool to see that the Sunrise Cup is continuing on and continuing to support the more up and comers in China.
Yeah. As always, hope to see a lot more of them. I hope to see a lot more of them, and we hope to see them make a bit of a splash in some of the international events, whether it's WTL or potentially DreamHack Stockholm.
There you go. And meanwhile, moving on, we do have, this event is organized by, some of the people behind Starlight Twinkle. Now we have an event organized by those behind Team Little Fairy, as we have the Fairy Cup number 9. This is an event that I had no idea about, and there's a reason for that. This is the first event of 2024.
Oh, it is. Yeah, first event of 2024. The last one, Fairy Cup number 8, took place in 2022.
Yeah, it's been a very long time.
Makes sense why we haven't, why we forgot about it or haven't heard of it.
Yeah, so a bit of a more niche event. I'm sure it's more of like an in-house kind of tournament, or at least they try to support their own players a little bit more by inviting them. Looks like it was more of a show match series. They had 2 show matches. They had UD Soldier versus Miracle, and UD Soldier was able to come out on top, was able to take that best of 7.
Yeah, that was the main event, and it looks like they also had a smaller event afterwards, or potentially before, an opening act of a Terran player called Ear and a Protoss player called Wait, what is Coca? Something.
Coconut?
Kokaran, I think, is the third one, and then the fourth one is.
It's fine. It's fine.
Oh wait, it might not be Ko. It might be Wu.
It's Wu. It's Wu. I just
Wu.
put it into
Okay, it's Wu.
Yeah.
I remember something. Wu. That's 5. That means 5. I'm pretty sure.
It's fine. It's fine.
Wuka, I think is the second one.
Yeah, Ear against a Protoss
like
player.
Yeah,
did go the way
of the Protoss player.
Yeah,
5 Protoss players from what we can gather.
Exactly.
In a trench coat.
Did go Archon mode. We spoke about it earlier. 5v1. Let's go. But it looks like most of the players here were from Little Fairy. UD Soldier was kind of the invitee stepping in as well to face off against them. But regardless, really cool to see the Fairy Cup coming back. And is this a one-off event? Do we get more of them in the future? We'll keep you guys posted.
Yeah. See if there are any updates and if we can figure that out.
Yeah, and when I say we'll keep you posted, Kura will add it to the
Yeah.
topic list, and then we'll know.
Yeah. And well, I guess not the tournament list, but yeah.
Beautiful.
That's different. Serves a different function.
As moving on, we do have the little Stormy Cup. Once again, it is an event organized and hosted by, I keep wanting to say Vulcan. No, it's a Viking, by Psystorm Viking. And we do have yeah, the Vulcans. We do have Viking hosting this, and we had a best of 7 between Geralt and Namshar.
Indeed. Once again, this is more of an in-house tournament for Psystorm Gaming. It isn't always. Sometimes they invite somebody from a different team, but typically it's more of just an in-house kind of thing. And like you mentioned, this time it was Geralt, who is very active and very informed, going up against Namshar, who, I gotta be honest, Light, I feel like it's been a while since we've really got to see much of him.
Yeah, Namshar is mainly inactive. He's much more inactive than he used to be. So we, as you mentioned, very rare that we get to see him. Very rare that we get to cast him. I think the last time we saw him, he actually subbed in for Psystorm in WTL. I think once this season, which was really cool to see. But outside of that, we rarely get to experience more Namshar, and did go down to Geralt. But really, this just adds to the narrative here. I mean, again, whether it's OSC mid-season playoffs, King of the Hill, and now Little Stormy Cup, Geralt, again, doing well.
He's angry, yeah.
Yeah. He's stormy.
Oh. He's dark and stormy.
There you go. So, congratulations to Geralt for claiming this best of 7. And we'll see if that trend continues here with his success this week as we move on to the Fire Grow Cup number 2.
Here we go. Organized by Mindle VK. As a little bit of a fun fact, Mindle VK, one of the more active players from the CIS region.
Yeah, I mean, I always love when a player kind of takes it into their own hands to kind of give back to the scene, give back to the community, and host an event. It happened with 4Jumi, if you remember, with the 4Jumi League, and now here with Middle VK as well, where, as you mentioned, he's also on Psystorm, was a very active player for a long time, recently has been streaming a lot more, and now even organizing multiple events with the second edition of Fire Grow Cup.
Yeah, one specifically focused or catered on the CIS region. So, different players from around East Europe, and pretty much most of the people who you would expect, right? Young Yakov, Strange, Wayne, Nikorak, Art, but not Polish Art. The other Art, Gref. Nice to see.
Yeah, exactly. There's a player that's missing, and this is when I have to exclamation mark Funada Night Phoenix. You know, I see Rostock, I see Gref. Okay. Where's the third Ukrainian Protoss? Where's Night Phoenix? Just saying.
Is he still Protoss? From what I can gather, he's been a little bit influenced by Eva. Is all I'm gonna say.
True. I'm not sure what that leads into, but yeah, so there are some players that are missing here, but regardless, as you mentioned, this is kind of like what you expect, and yeah, some really strong performances out of Nikorak. Now that there's no Geralt, there's no Cristiano to send in his way, but even then, there was an upset. Went all the way to the Ace Smash, but in the semifinals, that could have been the grand finals. Nikorak takes on Wayne 3-2.
In a reverse sweep, no less. And yeah, I'm with you there. Like Wayne and Nikorak, in my mind, I place them in about the same tier for the longest time. And I mean, the closest of that series really just goes to show, right, how differently this tournament could have ended up. Hey, if we look back at the group stage, if Nikorak just had one different result, one more win in that group stage, then maybe he would have been, I believe he would have been seeded to the other side of that bracket, and we may have ended up with that grand finals at full best of 7.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that you bring it up because Wayne actually 2-0'd Nikorak in the group stage. It it was a round robin group stage, so everyone played everyone, and Wayne went undefeated. Which again, looking at this
Right.
bracket, looking at
They-
these groups, I would have pinned Wayne to take it all.
Yeah. And they were best of twos as well, so maybe not even winning a series, just one different map
Mhm.
would have made all the difference. Yeah, this was very close and very up in the air until the very end.
Exactly. So a very strong performance out of Nick Rack. Not just him. We had Young Yakov also come out on top in the group stage of Group B, which also, looking at all these players, I would say the top two in my mind would have been Wayne and Young Yakov. But of course, Shameless is another rising star of this year. Shameless with the upset takes down Young Yakov 3-1. Even though Shameless hasn't had the best performance this week in the other events that we saw, Shameless is still, I would say of the caliber of some of the best players in Europe right now. He's been getting better and better results, and taking down Young Yakov 3-1, and even going to the ace match against Nick Rack showcases that. Like, that's a very strong run by Shameless.
I'm just realizing that 3 of the 4 semifinalists were from Group A,
Yeah.
which possibly a testament to these players.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, for sure. So, yeah, very impressive that Shameless takes on Young Yakov. Impressive that Shameless and Nick Rack went all the way to the ace match as well. Shameless may not have won it, but coming in second place was clearly no easy feat. And a big shout out to Nick Rack. He fought hard for it. I mean, again, any wrong step and he would have fallen to Wayne or even Shameless as well. So a very nice result here by Nick Rack, and this kind of adds to that narrative as well that, a lot of these players like Nick Rack have been getting better and better over the course of this year.
Yeah. Hope to see them, fingers crossed, at DreamHack Stockholm. Yeah, or maybe Homes Cup. Again, we don't know. We don't know who's gonna get invited.
Yeah.
Take. Maybe Nicorrect. Maybe Nicorrect. Maybe Shameless.
Yeah. Maybe Night Phoenix.
Maybe
so he
Night
can
Phoenix. Yeah.
take more selfies
Night
with carriers.
If Night Phoenix isn't in the always invite list, then I'm gonna have some questions over at over at who's in charge of invites.
Aye. For those who don't know what we're referring to, we've seen Night Phoenix take selfies and post a lot of images with cat ears with pro players.
I remember when he was actually on the couch when he was casting the games. Some people in chat were like, "Oh my god, a VTuber in real life!" It's like, yeah, that's Night Phoenix.
Shaking my head. But yeah, with that, congratulations to Nick Rack. Shout out to Shameless, Wayne, and Young Yakov as well, making it into the semifinals. On top of that, a special shout out to Mindle VK for hosting this event, and the fact that now this is the second Fire Grow Cup. I'm hoping to see more fire growing in the future.
Oh, burn it all down.
Oh no. Oh no.
Wait, no, not that's.
Not like this. So shout out to Mindle VK. Meanwhile, heading over to the other part of the world, over to Brazil, we have
a little bit warmer. Yeah,
exactly. Code for Giants Cup number 11. This is your bi-weekly Brazilian tournament, and we did feature, of course, the best players in Brazil. Inexorable also showing up here as well. Did team up with Baby Marine in the previous event in the Archon tournament, but here in 1v1.
Yeah, here in 1v1, making it all the way to the grand finals, where he faced off against Eric, but unfortunately, or fortunately for us, no bias, did fall to him 3-1. I was actually awake for this, or at least the finals.
I was shocked when I saw you in the chat. I was like, Papi, it's the sun is up and Yaku is awake. What's going on? Oh my god. Turns out all it takes is some Brazilian StarCraft to wake Yaku up in the morning.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I have to be there, I have to be there for the Carnival of StarCraft 2,
Yeah.
I have to show up. I have to inform everyone viewing what Eric stands for.
True. What does it stand for?
It stands for endurance. It stands for righteousness. It stands for intellect. It stands for kangaroo. And then the F in there stands for fear.
There you go. Beautiful. So congratulations to Eric again. Eric, I mean, he usually is, I would say, the one of the stronger players here in Brazil in the region. He's the strongest
Typically a
Zerg
favorite,
player, at
yeah.
least in Brazil. But he has been knocked down from time to time. You know, we've seen him fall to Master. We've seen him fall and drop maps to Shakti as well. Not this time, though. This time, Eric, he takes down Shakti 2-0. Did drop a map to Inexorable in the finals. So, again, Inexorable, he has been improving a lot, as we mentioned before, has been practicing with a lot of other pro Terran players. Did take a map, but unable to take the series.
Yeah, unfortunately not. He went through the ringer of TVTs by the looks of things. Had a little bit of a TVP as well at the start, but yeah, no TVZ, and so we got to see it in the series against Eric, but unfortunately, didn't quite go his way there. I don't actually remember, Light. I was awake, but I don't actually remember. Did Eric go Swarmhost in the series?
He did not. I actually asked him about it. I was like, Eric, wait, when was the last time you went 2-base Swarm host? Like, I miss it, Bappy. And he's like, you know, I'm a little bit out of practice, and it takes a lot of control and a lot of micro to pull off 2-base Swarm host against Terran.
Does it though?
It's a complicated
does.
build. So he
Right,
wasn't
I
feeling
guess
too
you do.
confident.
I guess you do have to be very careful with how you rally out of your Nidus.
There's a little layers. There's a lot of layers to it. I do recommend watching some of the older VODs from last year from Eric going 2-base Storm host. But currently he's not as confident in it, so he didn't quite whip it out. Did go 2-base Muta though. Did go for that.
Which I would say is better personally, or I personally prefer it. I find it more exciting, but
there you go. So congratulations to Eric, as he did take the series. Meanwhile, we can now head on over to the Open Cups. We've kind of set the stage. We've seen Nickrat have some insane performances already. We've seen Geralt as well. Nightmare took down Spirit. And now we can jump into the KSL.
Indeed, we can. The first of the Open Cups, and the one that is primarily catered to the Korean scene, but obviously as an Open Cup, welcomes anybody from any part of the world. And this time, I was looking at the result lights, and I was a little bit ready. Well, there's spoilers for later on. I was ready to officially announce that Bjorn's reign of terror has ended. Well, but it's never that clear cut, is it?
Exactly. That fire has been rekindled as we had a best of 5 grand finals, went all the way to the ace match, was very close, was very intense. Of course, we were lucky enough to be a part of those finals and to cover it ourselves. But Classic, the chin toss, he comes out of left field. I feel like Classic has been hibernating. I feel like we've been glossing over him. He hasn't been having the deepest of runs in these online tournaments recently, but now he comes out swinging this week.
Yeah, he's been out in the mountains. He's been meditating. You know, Solar, when he said that the world has no Protoss, and it's amazing. Classic. He saw that. He said, "I'll show you a world of Protoss."
Exactly. You know, he was enjoying his time off, and then they dragged him back in, and Classic takes down Creator, takes down Dark 2-1, and takes down Beyond as well. So a big win here for Classic. Despite that, though, what I will quickly say is that the highlight, at least from our perspective, as we were covering some of the earlier rounds, was Ordinary. For those who do not know, Chance did name change once again. Chance, he's got a bit of an identity crisis, does name change quite often, and a couple of months ago did name change to Ordinary. But he had a crazy performance, taking down some very strong Protoss and Zerg players in the lead up to the semifinals.
Yeah, I'm only now noticing that.
Yeah.
Very much. Pardon me, very much out of left field coming in here from Chance. I mean, we have seen Chance make a little bit of a splash here and there. Every now and then, he's not the most active player, but... But it's glad to see him back, and make a bit of a deeper run here, cause a couple of upsets, taking out Shin and taking out Trap.
Yeah, well, I mean, Chance retired straight up. He retired.
Oh, there we go.
I want to say end of last year. So Chance, he completely, stepped away from the game, and I was concerned that we would never see Chance again. And then it was this year that Chance
Well-
returned.
Yes, technically we didn't see Chance.
True.
We saw Ordinary.
Exactly. We saw Ordinary kind of make his re-debut. So quickly checking here. So the last time we saw Chance was June of 2023, and then he came back as Ordinary in April of 2024. So it was almost a year hiatus, almost a year break. And he has been popping in from time to time. But the thing is, Ordinary, I mean, he's kind of like the new Zoun in a way, right? Or at least he was before he kind of sort of retired and I guess came back. Where he was an up and comer, he's rising through the ranks, but never quite kind of broke into the scene. Like his big goal was to one day qualify for Codes, and he never did. Like he was never able to make it into Codes. That's how terrifying and that's how difficult the Korean scene is. That's just how much competition there is with all the other veterans in the scene. So Chance never made it to Codes. Considering that, to take down Trap and Shin, that's crazy.
Oh yeah.
So very impressive there. I do think it's part of me feels like it might be his mindset nowadays, especially because he stepped away from the game and he took an extended break. He has a full-time job nowadays and he only plays part-time. Like he plays like for fun basically. And I even asked him about it. He's like, no, yeah. Like nowadays I just play for fun, because that he has a lot less pressure on him. He has a lot less stress like surrounding the game. And that may lead to some better results here.
Yeah, you can play loose. It's been known to happen quite a lot, actually, in sports and esports and in StarCraft 2 especially, where you have players who, when everything is on the line, they overthink a little bit, or they they overthink a little bit, and the pressure really like piles on. But then when they hit a certain point, when they say, "Okay, I'm just gonna play loose and I'm just gonna do what I normally do," then they get a lot more. They become a lot more successful with that, with how they play.
Definitely. So, really cool to see Ordinary or Chance bringing down
Or
Trap and
Change,
Shin,
he was once known.
or Jaw Titan,
Or Jaw Titan, yeah.
True. But yeah, like Trap has been on fire recently. So is Shin. I mean, we just spoke about the fact that Shin defeated MaxPax 3-2 last week. So like these are two players that are in form, that are in shape. So for Ordinary to bring them down was just a crazy result. What I will say is that Bjorn looked even better against Ordinary. Bjorn, he was looking as he always does, and Bjorn has also been in form and was looking quite dominant in that TVP.
Brought his signature hatred of Protoss with him.
Yeah. I mean, hey, he 2-0'd Nightmare, 2-0'd Ordinary, but did go down to Classic in the end. So yeah, just a really impressive performance there by Ordinary. Potentially, his PvT matchup is something that he still has to work on, but did look phenomenal in those other matches.
Yeah. Hope to see more of him, but like you said, he's a little bit busy nowadays, so hope to see more of him, but wouldn't get my hopes up.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll see him pop in from time to time, like maybe for a KSL or for another Open Cup. Speaking of other Open Cups, we have the Sparkling Tuna Cup. Number 65 was this week. We were missing some players. This time, Bjorn was not here to reprise his role. Neither was Trap. Trap was also a recent STC champion, was actually last week's STC champion. And they were there for KSL, but they were not here this week, so Shin was coming in as the heavy favorite, and Shin did stumble a little bit on his way to the finals.
Yeah, almost got eliminated by GG Machine, from what I can see here.
Yeah, he had a very close best of 3 ZVZ between himself and GG Machine. Likewise, not just Shin having his performance, but this was the return of Zoun. This was the first event, so we're fortunate enough to have hosted the event that had the comeback of Zoun, but this was his first tournament coming back from military.
We can claim that.
We did.
Yeah. Right over here, historic moment. STC 65.
There you go. remember that when Zoun wins the next big tournament, by the way.
Yeah. When Zoun becomes the Esports World Cup champion 2025,
Yeah.
and then the first thing he does on stage is say, "My name is actually pronounced Joyun."
But the
Remember that.
second thing he says on stage is going to be thank you so much to the CranKy Ducklings for hosting the
Yep.
Sparkling Tuna Cup, because that's the reason why he started competing again.
Yep.
There you go.
There we go.
Confirmed.
That's a documentary that we'll be making.
There you go. Exactly. He had a very close series between himself and Azura. If you are maybe unaware, if maybe you don't know, Azura's in-game name is actually AX Zoun fan. So Kura made sure to rig the bracket and make sure they face off against each other in the round of 16.
Oh, that's why. That's why, even though it was close, it ended up in a victory for Zoun.
I was alluding to that at the time when we were casting. It was like, yo, this is so weird, because on the one hand, it's a competition, but at the same time, Azura is a massive Zoun fan. It's almost kind of like seeing like Beyond play against innovation, Like, I'm sure there's a part of the brain that is fighting against hurting the person that you praise.
It's like consciously he's like, I want to win this. I want to prove to him that that we're on the same level. And obviously, just as a competitor, I want to win this. But then subconsciously, it's like, but I can't hurt my idol.
The inner conflict is a story in and of itself that I'm sure Azura was battling. In the end, Zoun did take it in that PvP. Zoun also had a very close series against Young Yako, but more importantly, I was just really curious to see how Zoun was playing more than anything, like how he'd been keeping up. Was he watching competitive StarCraft during his time in the military, so he was able to keep up the meta or not? And when it came to the openers and when it came to the builds, Zoun was looking very solid in PvP, looking very by the book. He was clearly up to date with the meta, is what I will say. Against Young Yakov, it was interesting. Every game, Zoun did open up Stargate and did open up Void Ray. Every game did open up Void Ray, but did have different variations of it. And even in the Ace match, he went for a Void Ray opener into Tempest, which was a lot of fun. Didn't work in the end, but did whip out the Tempest Rush.
Yeah, it seemed close. Yeah, I think we've talked about this at points before, or there have been discussions about it, where if you're going to be taking a break from the game for an extended period of time, like if you were to go into the military for a while, mirror matchups are usually the ones that don't change as much meta-wise. You can pretty much do the same thing that you did before you stopped playing, and there's a very high chance that it'll still work, like an 80 or 90% chance it'll still work. Whereas in some of the other non-mirror matchups, it's a little bit more different. Those are where you really do need to look up, okay, what's changed and what are the pros doing now? What are people on ladder doing now in this particular matchup?
Yeah, the meta does shift over time. And definitely there are certain things that would have impacted that a lot more as well. Like, I imagine, like, if there was like a Terran player coming back in the Cyclone meta, that would have been very jarring. But thankfully, that was a very short meta, and that has come and gone in TBT, for example.
A dark time in our history.
Yeah, that a period of time that we just want to remove from the history books at this point. Just want to burn all the
records, all
exactly.
the evidence. Yeah.
Just get rid of it. So yeah, it was really cool to see Zoun in PvP, and really interesting to see how he approached the PvZ matchup as well. On top of that, we saw Shin have a very short series against Young Yakov. There was a lot of aggression in that ZVZ, as you can imagine. And a shout out to Trigger. Trigger, he does not often play in the Sparkling Tuna Cup, but if you recall, Trigger, he was left behind. Bit of a Home Alone moment where he is...
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, no. He's pulling a bit of a Kevin, and yes, Trigger is still in Korea.
Yeah, and he's out of D-Gen, so he was actually awake for this.
Yeah, there you go. So it's great to see more and more of Trigger recently, just because he's just in a better time slot or time zone to play in a lot of these online tournaments. He wasn't there for KSL. We'll point that out, but he was at least here for STC and did take down Eba, took down Nickrat. Once again, Nickrat, he took down Geralt in the quarterfinals. Yeah. Impressive.
Twasn't just a fluke. It wasn't just the best of one in of the OC King of Hill format. Nicorrect, he's in form and he solidifies his throne, or he consolidates his rule over the hill.
Yeah. Again, like I would usually favor Geralt, and we were pointing out earlier that Geralt, he's had a lot of really good performances this week already, whether it's beating Namshar, whether it's OSC King of the Hill, whether it's OSC mid-season playoffs. Like, Geralt has been doing really well to go to the Ace match, but just like OSC King of the Hill, Nicorrect just has his number, at least this week, and did bring him down. So that's still very impressive by Nicorrect. In the end, wasn't able to bring that to the table against Trigger, but still, I don't want to like gloss over that. That's still just a really high-profile series that happened in the quarterfinals.
When you say hyper fast, it's a ZVZ with Shin and Young Yakov involved. Did we get to the double digits of time? Did we at least get 10 minutes?
I'm pretty sure we had like some 12 pools in there, but did we get to 10? I honestly, I can't quite remember. I don't think we did. I think. Oh no. It's a lot of aggression there between Shin and Young Yakov. But yeah, in the end, Shin did take it in, did take the series, did take the finals. Again, even though he had a 3-0 showing against Trigger and a 2-0 against Young Yakov, it was GG Machine that was able to force an ace match. We didn't quite get to cover those matches, unfortunately. But yeah, an unlikely hero kind of rising to the challenge. And we haven't really spoken about GG Machine. He's been playing in a lot of these turns that we've mentioned, but no kind of standout performances outside of this, which is pretty good.
Yeah, I do have to agree. It's a very well-deserved raffle. I like to imagine that, Karma kind of looked at him and said, you tried, you were the closest to being able to take out Shin, so we're gonna rig the RNG to be in your favor when we eventually did roll the raffle.
Yeah, hashtag rigged.
Yeah, hashtag not rigged enough. I haven't won one yet. I haven't signed up in one for a very long time. But...
That's why you're not winning. Confirmed. So again, Shin did take it. So congratulations to Shin. Moving on to the Tenacious Turtle Tussle the next morning, we do have the return of Bjorn. Bjorn may not have been there for STC, but he was there for TTT. Bjorn having a deep run, did take down Nicorrect in the semifinals.
Yeah, I do like to imagine that Bjorn, when facing Nicorrect, said, you did good this week. You prevented a Protoss King of Hill. But now it's my turn. That's how I imagine that series went down.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that's what he said, but similarly to the KSL, where Bjorn went down to Classic, Bjorn this time went down to Nightmare. Nightmare popping off. You alluded to it earlier when referring to Nightmare's surprise performance against Spirit, where he was able to bring Spirit down to the 0. Here takes down Bjorn 3-1.
Yeah, with quite dominant showing. I was not quite awake for this series, but I was awake for, I think, the final game, and I thought, damn, Nightmare, he's getting his... I think we may very well be at the point where we can no longer say, okay, Nightmare, he's only known for PvP sniping. It really does... I really do think that we have to consider him to be no longer in that kind of pigeonhole.
Yeah, where he has been able to spread his horizons a little bit here, and it's not just PvP, but PvT, he's also a beast as well. He took down Baberine, took down Geralt, went to the ace match against Geralt. I do have to point that out as well. Went all the way to game 3, could have gone either way in that PvP, but Nightmare versus Bjorn was fascinating.
Oh, do tell.
So Nightmare, he was showcasing an interesting style. It felt really risky. It was very on the knife's edge. Nightmare, when it came to a lot of the games that he was winning, he was doing so in the mid game, in the mid to late game, relying a lot more on a very gateway heavy composition. I'm referring to Mass Zealot, Stalker, Disruptor. He wasn't really relying too heavily on, a robo like a Colossus like backbone to his army, or working into like Sky Toss as the game progressed. No, it was very cheap and very flexible and very mobile, and more often than not. Yeah, it was swarm tossing, and he was more often than not catching Beyond out of position. He was pulling him apart, hitting one location, then hitting another, then hitting another. And as Beyond was stuck rotating between the bases, he'd be zoned away or caught out by those purification overs, by those disruptors. Like he was kind of like, being one step ahead of Beyond and punishing him as well with his maneuverability. It was really cool to see.
Yeah, sure it was. I'm gonna have to check the VOD on that because that just sounds insane to me when you're saying that there's a Protoss player out there who's able to consistently outmaneuver Beyond.
Yeah.
And to really just kind of like, it's one of those things, right? Where Beyond, he is hyper aggressive, especially in TVP. He loves to just attack and then keep his foot on that pedal. And you're telling me that there was somebody a Protoss player, no less, who didn't have to rely on turtling up, who didn't have to rely on just trying to defend against the initial waves and then go for counterattacks, but instead saw one step ahead and dictated the pace of the game themselves. That is very impressive. That's very impressive to me. Yeah,
definitely. What was really risky about it was that Nightmare, he never like fought Beyond head on. There was never like a big moment where both armies they face off against each other. He was always trying to like avoid that, because if they ever did face head on, like Nightmare's army was
a
really
gateway
fragile.
army. Yeah,
it was just a really
gateway army versus ghosts.
Exactly. It was very vulnerable to EMP. There were moments where Beyond would come in, blanket everything, and then Nightmare would get the hell out of there. He would not want to engage, not want to fight. So very hidden run style tactics. And even when it came to the purification overs and disruptors, like there were moments where Beyond, of course, he'd do Beyond things. He'd like stim in, he'd focus on the disruptors as well before Novas would go off. So it was a very dynamic series and definitely one of the highlights of the week. So I do recommend checking Nightmare versus Beyond. It was really fun.
Bought up on YouTube, soon TM.
There you go.
There we go. I will say that sounds very exciting to me. It makes up for the fact that we were robbed of a third consecutive Nicorach versus Geralt match.
True.
This time in a best of 5.
True. But I mean, they had deep runs nonetheless. But once again, Beyond was the bridesmaid. Remember, Beyond, he came second in KSL. He comes second here in TTT as well. And moving on to that evening, we had the Wardy TV Monday.
In the Terran edition, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of TVT.
Yeah, there was a lot of TVT, especially in the bottom of the bracket. We had Clem rocking up, though. Now, the thing about the Wardy TV Mondays, just to wind it back a little bit, this is kind of the quote-unquote replacement ESL Asia Cup, but there is a distinct difference. The home server for ESL Open Cup Asia was the Korean server. Here, the home server is the Americas server. Because of that, unlike for the ESL Open Cup Asias, because the home server is the Americas server, that means that there is more incentive for Europeans to compete. And that is why week after week, we've seen players like Clem, Showtime, and MaxPax be more regulars here.
Yeah, ping is still a bit of a factor, but less of a factor. It's a little bit more equal, depending on which Americas servers it is when playing against the Korean players, the Chinese players, or hell, even some of the American players. Like if they're in the East Coast playing against somebody in Europe, if they both play on US East, if they're in the West Coast, my mistake. If they're in the West Coast and they're playing against somebody from Europe, and then playing on US East, surprisingly, it's still a little bit in favor of that West Coast player, but not as much as it would otherwise. And yeah, so that does provide a lot more of an incentive specifically for the European players. But another major factor, especially considering the type of players who get drawn into these, it also begins 2 hours later. So it's a lot more suitable if you're a DGen.
There you go. So it does start a little bit later. So for the Europeans that wake up, at midday or 1 p.m., 2 p.m., they can actually participate, they can actually partake and compete in these tournaments. And yeah, because of that, I was curious if, looking at the initial bracket, I was like, yo, are we going to get like a MaxPax versus Shin rematch? Shin, he just took down, or he just won STC. Can he go even further than that? Can he keep going? And there was a rematch. If you recall, Shin defeated Clem last week, so they were able to face off again in the semifinals, but this time, Clem got his revenge.
Indeed, he did. Whew. Were there any swarm hosts this time? Oh, were there any roach rushes this time?
There was some roach aggression. I will say that definitely. But Clem was a lot more careful. He was a lot more just a lot more careful when it came to his approach against Shin. Was able to shut him down. I do recall that the game that Shin won, Clem did open up 2x Reaper, and Shin did punish him for it. But afterwards we saw Clem just again just really thriving in the mid to late game, able to get his revenge over the Shin. Didn't want to gloss over it, but Shin did take down Showtime 2-0 in the quarterfinals, which is very impressive. But unfortunately, we were denied any kind of Shin Max Pax rematch.
I have a vague memory of this, Light. I might have dreamt it, but I have a vague memory of this. Was this the series Shin versus Showtime where it took place on Dynasty and Shin didn't go for the Spine Rush? I have a vague memory of that happening, and I had to do a double take. It didn't feel real.
You know what? That might have been a dream. I don't know because I didn't cast it.
Oh, okay. Well,
So I couldn't tell you.
I have a vague memory of something like that happening, and yeah, I had to do a double take on that.
Mm-hmm. But because it's showing those maps, it looks like maybe Wardy covered it. So we'll definitely have to check out the VODs for that one, for who did cover Shin versus Showtime. We were focusing on Trigger and Solar here on our channel. We casted Solar versus Trigger, leading into Max Pax. Max Pax, he got knocked out last week by Shin. This week, Solar popped off and brought Max Pax down.
It's a conspiracy amongst the Korean Zerg players.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Solar himself, he is the one who wants a world without Protoss.
Mm-hmm.
He's a Pokemon villain in that way, in that regard.
Yeah, it's been really interesting because usually Max Pax is so dominant in these online tournaments, right? Like, he's known for coming out and looking dominant in ESL Open Cup Europe, ESL Open Cup Americas as well. But here in the Wardy TV Mondays, Max Pax has been struggling a little bit more, and it's been really showing how competitive at least the Korean Zerg players are with Max Pax.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, so a big win there for Solar. In the end, Solar did go down to Gumiho. Gumiho, of course, coming out with Bio and with a bit of mech as well, I should emphasize. Gumiho did take down Solar 2-1, mainly with Bio. Likewise, he had a very intense series with Bjorn and also went up against Clem in the grand finals.
Indeed, he did. Now, yeah, Gumiho ran through the gauntlet of TVT. Did end up falling to Clem, 3-1. But honestly, the most impressive result from the side of Gumiho to me, Light, is the fact that he 2-0'd Ryung.
Oh yeah,
that is not something that should happen.
Yeah, I mean, Ryung is a TVT sniper, so looking at this bracket, we expected Ryung to pop off, but yeah, in the end, did go down to Gumiho. The Korean Clem in Ryung wasn't quite able to pop off this
Clem
week,
killer,
unfortunately. Yeah,
Clem Crusher. If you
yes, the Clem Crusher was crushed by Gumiho. When it came to the finals between Gumiho and Clem, honestly, it was actually really fast finals. As you can imagine, there were a lot of proxies. There was
when you say okay, yeah. I was gonna say, when you say fast finals, do you mean fast for TVT or actually fast?
Yeah, it was a little bit of both, but it was a wild finale to the finals as well. If you want a bit of a sneak peek, it was on Ghost River and it was proxy versus proxy.
I remember that. Was there a proxy factory versus proxy 2-racks?
Yep. Exactly. And the game just ended because Gumiho had nothing at home to defend. And Clem, he went 2-racks, but only one was proxied. It was one proxied across the map and one back at home. So he did have units to defend. So yeah, there was that kind of dynamic, and Gumiho rolled the dice, rolled poorly in the end, and Clem took it. So very well done. Congratulations to Clem. Clem's still a dominant force. We have seen Clem definitely falter from time to time. I mean, hey, we've seen Shin take maps, we've seen Gumiho take maps. Shin took a series last week, but Clem is still a force to be reckoned with. He's still the best in Europe.
Yeah. The comeback kid.
There you go. Even getting a documentary. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Is pretty good. Scrolling on over though, we do have the KSRC. We have the Kalara Steadfast Roddy Cup. And fun fact, I don't know if you noticed, but Bjorn played in TTT in the morning, Tenacious Rose Tussle. That led into the Wardy TV Monday in the afternoon that leads into this tournament in
More
the
like the
deep
evening.
hours of the night. Yeah, this is at like 2 a.m. in the morning for Bjorn.
Yep.
Afterwards,
Began at 2 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
Bjorn.
Afterwards, I did reach out, I did ask him because I was curious because he played in every single tournament. I was like, yo, did you nap at all? No. Bjorn went full degen. He pulled off an all-nighter to play in every single tournament. Crazy.
Yeah. That's what losing in 2 finals to Protoss does to you. That's what losing 2 consecutive finals to Protoss does to you.
It destroys the brain. And
Destroys
but hey,
or enhances.
exactly, because even though Bjorn was coming so close yet so far, even though Bjorn got second place in KSL, even though Bjorn got second place in TTT, here in KFC, Bjorn is a champion.
Yeah. He is a champion. He did get his revenge in Protoss, taking out Hearthstem 2-0, taking out Raynor, who apparently off-raced this week, 2-0 as well, and then coming up on top against Clem, winning 3-1.
There you go. Very impressive. Clem took down MaxPax 2-1. Again, it does feel like over the past month at this point, over the past couple of weeks, Clem has had MaxPax's number. Like, Clem has just been just winning series after series, time and time again. So Clem once again does pull that off. Did go to the ace match, so shout out to MaxPax for making that happen. But this time, Bjorn, after being awake for like 20 plus hours, his third eye was opened.
Yeah.
And Bjorn popped off.
That's when you unlock the other 90% of your brain.
Exactly. So very well done. Congratulations to Bjorn.
Well, I say that, but as has been stated by the Terran experts, particularly Maru, the more brain you use in TVP, the worse it gets. So either he unlocked the other 90% of his brain, or he shut down the 10% of the brain that you normally use.
There you go. It's
For anyone asks, yes, I'm aware that's a myth.
But when it comes to Raynor, as you did point out, Raynor has off-raced before as Protoss in these tournaments, and interesting to see that happen again. I would have loved to have seen the sibling rivalry, because Raynor actually played against Baby Marine earlier in the tournament, which would have been amazing, I'm sure.
I believe that did get casted by at least mid-series. It looks like they missed out on the first game, but yeah, that went all the way to the ace match, thankfully, and we did. Somebody managed to cast that. We'll figure out who.
Yeah, so Raynor went to the ace match against Bay Marine. He went to the ace match against Battlebee as well. Battlebee took down Cristiano 2-1. That is impressive. I know that Battlebee has been on the rise as well, but I still would have ranked Cristiano a little bit higher there. So yeah, very impressively done, or very well done to Battlebee.
Yeah, I think with Battlebee, it's just that it's a case that he is a player with a lot of potential, but unfortunately, we specifically don't really get to see that too often, just because he doesn't compete as often as Cristiano does, and
True.
I think when he does, it's very much out of our time zone, so we don't get to witness that as much. So Cristiano is, over in Poland, it's a very active scene. We're involved in that to quite an extent, so yeah, we do get to see Cristiano pop off a lot, whereas not as often for Battlebee, but I do have him pinned as one of the players who I look out for, who I'm looking forward to in the future in the German scene. I want to see what he gets done in the Forjumi League.
Oh yeah, definitely. Looking forward to seeing more Battlebee. I'm sure Battlebee will even be playing in the upcoming Hero Marine events, if you recall.
Hero Marine. That's what. Yeah.
Yeah. He's going to be hosting
my players.
That's all good. But Big Gabe. Yeah, Big Gabe is hosting an event soon. I'm sure Battlebee will be a part of it. At least I hope so. I hope that is going to be the case. Did go down to Raynor in the end. And of course, congratulations to Bjorn. Now, what is impressive about this, of course, is that Bjorn is playing out of his time zone. He's playing out of his time slot. Like, this is not a good time for Korean players, which is why there's barely any Koreans in this bracket. So that is
he's playing out of his time slot after being awake for 20 hours. Yeah.
Wild. Why he out degened Clem. That's crazy.
that is the key. You ever want to know how to beat Clem? You gotta get on his level. You gotta become a degen.
Exactly. There you go. So GG, very well done here by Björn. And then we enter to cap it off the Orsasaurus Cup. This was after TTT, after the Wardy TV Monday, after KSRS KFC, and now here in the Orsasaurus Cup. This is when I asked him, because we were covering him and we were getting ready for the finals. I was like, mate, have you even slept? And Björn's like, I'm so tired right now. Björn's like, I'm so tired. I have not slept at all. I had assumed that he had napped. I'd assumed that he'd like going for like some like 1 hour power naps or something like that. But no, he just stayed up all day.
He got that hot 6. That's all you need.
crazy. And he did it again.
And yeah, indeed he did. We can say that Björn did lose 2 finals in a row to Protoss, but not a third, as he did go up against MaxPax this time, and it was a series that went all the way to the ace match, but Björn was able to come up on top.
Yeah,
a bit of a rematch from last week's Wardy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a bit of a rematch here. I mean, once again, even though MaxPax, he does typically thrive in these online tournaments recently, whether it's Shin, whether it's Solar, and now Björn as well, they're all threatening MaxPax, and I do appreciate that just because I'm so used to seeing MaxPax there be a much larger kind of skill delineation between himself and all these other players, but that gap is closing here, and it was still close. It still went all the way to the ace match, but impressive stuff here by Björn to take it all.
Yeah, after being awake for that long.
Sure, exactly. Did it hurt? Did it help? It's hard to say.
I mean, if you look at the results itself,
true.
It seems as though it helped.
Yeah,
we don't know what the other variables are, but
it's the only variable
based on the results we got. Seems like it helped.
There you go.
Correlation there.
Some other big matches that did occur, though, of course, was we had Shin versus Estrella. Went to the ace match.
Yeah. No, I was worried that you were going to be continuing to the next one. But yeah. Shin versus Estrella, that did happen, and that did go all the way to the ace match.
Yeah, very impressive stuff there by Estrella. Estrella, sometimes it can be hard to place him. Sometimes it can be hard to rank him. We were lucky enough to cast that series, and he had a crazy comeback. Shin... I think he was like up, I want to say like 20 or 30 workers. Like, he had crippled the okay, so set the stage. We have the ace match. We have the ace match on Oceanborn. Shin goes for a 3-base all-in. He cripples the economy. Estrella, he's limping along. Estrella, he barely holds on. He barely survives. And Shin keeps being aggressive and keeps trying to kill him. And that goes on for like another 5 minutes. Where Shin likewise doesn't have the best economy behind it because he's trying to kill Estrella. Estrella's like barely holding on by a thread. The game progresses another 5-10 minutes, and then we get to the late game. Estrella maxes out, Shin maxes out, and that early aggression, that early deficit that Estrella once had isn't there anymore. And now he's got like a maxed out Skytoss army. Shin's getting into Corrupted Broodlord, and Estrella takes it. I mean, Estrella, he's able to come back, slow the game down, and do what he does best, which is late game army control, which I feel like Estrella has refined in the NA region.
Oh yeah, and he's the best player in the NA region, the Americas region, arguably, for a reason. And it's impressive to see. Now, my one question here, Light, is I'm not sure if you casted the entire series, but was Dynasty played in Shin versus Estrella? Because I swear
it was.
I swear I can remember one. I swear I remember Shin not spine rushing at least once in a ZVP on Dynasty. Was this the one?
I believe he did play on Dynasty, and oh god. I think he did though. I think he did spine rush Estrella.
I guess I dreamt it. Well, I guess I dreamt it.
He did spine rush Estrella because I remember Estrella shut it down. He defended actually really well against it, and I was theorizing that maybe it's because of Trigger, because Shin also spine rushed Trigger and defeated Trigger, and the way that Estrella was responding to it made it look like Estrella was familiar with it. And I don't think Estrella has played against Shin in recent times, so maybe he was watching, or maybe Trigger let him know.
Maybe. I mean, I know Estrella was part of the DGen house in Korea.
True.
That's what we're officially calling it now, the DGen house in Korea.
Oh, God. You're an animal. But yeah, that was another game that Australia was able to take in the end was the game where on Dynasty where Shin did open up Spine Rush and Australia was able to shut it down
Okay.
quite well.
Man, nice to see.
Yeah,
Shut
maybe
down
we
quite
should
well in the
maybe we
Pro
should
Series,
stop
hmm?
spine rushing. I don't know. Maybe we
Yeah.
should just veto Dynasty like a normal human being. Just saying. I don't know. God, crazy.
Mage ahead.
Likewise,
Yeah.
Australia also went to the ace match against Bjorn. Honestly, he likewise had a very close series against Bjorn as well. That could have gone either way. It was very close, but that would have ruined the storyline. So Bjorn, he had to win it. He had to
Oh yeah.
take down Max Pax.
The narrative, Papi.
Exactly.
So I'm putting in a documentary.
It's all coming in. So yeah, just a really beautiful way to end the 24-hour marathon of Bjorn. Even though he may have had some good runs and good performances throughout the week, it was really towards the tail end of the week in this kind of 24-hour period where Bjorn popped off and won some unlikely tournaments.
A few there. At highlights, nice to see Zoun active
Yeah.
here again as well. So
Mhm.
yeah, nice to see that he is looking to get back on that grind.
Yeah, he took down T-Ball 2-0, went down to Geralt. Again, Geralt is another big name that was performing quite well this week. Went down to Max Pax in the end, but a strong performance nonetheless. And yeah, GG.
Yeah, GG. We also have it confirmed what our next show match here for the Ursasaurus Cup is going to be. The American Players show match. It is going to be Epic versus Estrella.
Ooh.
Epic, who is also scheduled to have a show match against Vindicta from last week's result.
Yeah, Epic, it's really cool to see him being very active in the Ursasaurus Cup at least. Epic, he's a very strong player from the Americas, but typically does only play in like these more regional, more local kind of online tournaments. So really cool to see him at least performing well here in the Ursasaurus Cup. And yeah, we'll be seeing his show matches in the future, in the coming weeks.
Yeah. Have they decided if they're just gonna have it all in one day or if they're
Yeah,
makes the most sense.
Yeah, we don't have a date yet, but soon TM. Keep an eye out for the announcements of the next big tournament, of all the show matches.
Keep your eyes up and open, unlike mine.
And there you go. And with that, we have the Warty TV Festival. Now, last week we were going over all of the qualifiers, if you recall, and how there was a little bit of confusion because we had some players that were playing in multiple qualifiers when they shouldn't have been.
No names, but you can see it on the bracket who were Funaraing.
You can. So last week we were going over all the qualifiers, but now we can jump into the event itself, which has been happening this week and is actually even happening as we speak at the moment as well.
Indeed, it is. Group C is currently underway over on Morty's channel, but before that, yesterday and the day before, we had the conclusions of Group A and B.
We did. So very quickly, we have our qualified and invited players. We had Max Pax, Trap, and Showtime making it through the qualifiers. We had Bjorn and Ryung making it through. For Protoss. We had Bjorn and Ryung for Terran. We had Rogue and Shin for Zerg.
We had Bjorn and Ryung.
True. True.
Which I think actually screwed up a little bit of the invites because I believe that we're still trying to find one more player to round out the groups.
Oh, true. Yeah, I guess especially because the qualifiers were a little bit wonky and all that stuff. So looks like the final group is still not yet confirmed with that final player. Hopefully they are invited soon.
Yeah.
When it comes to the invited players, we have Clem, Kior, Gumiho, Nicaract, and Oliveira. I'm happy to see Nicaract getting invited, getting a little bit of attention there by Warty. Did notice.
Yeah. Much appreciated there for the protest side. We have Creator coming back here once again, as well as Geralt, Christiana, Mana, and Nightmare, who, similarly to Nicaract, has been rising up quite a bit in recent weeks. And for the Zerg side, only 2 invites, unfortunately. It was, unfortunately for some, fortunately for others, like me, Rex and Young Yakov did come in here. Once again, nice to see some love being shown to Young Yakov and Rex.
Yeah, Rex out of left field. I was expecting, like another European invite, but no, Rex is going to be repping the Taiwanese region. So great to see a bit of a more international or global spread of players instead of it all being centralized around Europe and Korea only. So yeah, really cool to see that Taiwan is getting some love there with that invite. As you mentioned, there's still one invite missing, and hopefully we get an additional player. Otherwise, I'm sure the group will just be played out without that player. But hopefully we can find someone to kind of fill in that slot in Group D.
No, ordinarily, I would say Ryung is the replacement man, but he already qualified, so.
True.
Euthermal.
Yeah,
Ooh, yeah, we go, Mark. We gotta get Mark in there.
As soon as you said replacement man, we're like, oh, it's gotta be Mark. It's gonna.
Yeah. Will he play Charon? Will he play random? You know.
I like how our brains went to the same place.
Yeah.
It has to be thermal. It has to be. True. Oh my god. So we'll see if that does occur. And now we can jump into the groups themselves. Again, did occur earlier. A couple of days ago, we had a Group A, Showtime, Rogue, Gumiho, Mana, and Gerald. 5 players enter, only 3 make it out.
Honestly, I'm a little bit surprised. Specifically, I'm surprised at 2 results here. Is Rogue at number 2 and Gerald at number 5. Just by... Rogue is, pretty tough to place. I wouldn't have been surprised if he made it out, but the fact that he is above, well, I guess technically it's the same same score that he got in the end. It's tied with Gumiho, but I think the head-to-head puts Rogue a little bit higher here, but yeah, pretty impressive stuff to see here from Rogue, especially since, like I said, he's been pretty hard to place in these past couple of months. Looks like he is coming back and forth. Geralt, though, that is, I would say, a little bit of an upset, a little bit of a surprising result.
Yeah, if you recall earlier, we were talking about how when we were talking about the return of Zoun, I did mention Trap and Rogue and how they recently returned a couple of months ago, and they have been looking really good and they have been improving a lot, which is why it's really cool to see them both invited here. I say invited. Rogue made it through the qualifiers, and Trap was invited, but it's really cool to see Rogue kind of showcasing that as well, just because he's not the most active in online tournaments. Rogue, he actually took down Gumiho in that head-to-head 2-1, which is impressive considering that Gumiho is in form at the moment. Again, it shows, or it's another kind of data point here to kind of get a better idea of the caliber of play of Rogue.
Yeah. Leading up to potentially DreamHack Stockholm or Home Story Cup 26.
Home Story Cup, true.
Home Story Cup is at least something we know is going to happen. We don't know who's going to get invited, but we know that's going to happen.
Rogue would be a potential nice invite for that. Did go down to Showtime 2-0. Showtime to take the series over Rogue, so Showtime asserting his dominance here over all players. I don't want to gloss over it. Showtime, he finally got his revenge. He toured Gumiho.
Maps, yeah. 0 maps dropped, yeah.
You were talking about...
He got that revenge, and he was just full of Mauer this group stage.
Yeah, I mean, you spoke about Home Story Cup earlier, but it was Stars War 11 and Home Story Cup, 2 big events where Gumiho took down Showtime in these big series. And Showtime...
The rivalry continues.
There you go. I don't know what it is, but for whatever reason, this year, they just keep facing off in these, bigger events.
They've met, yeah. Home Story Cup, Stars Wars, I believe Esports World Cup.
Yeah, they might have faced off there. I know they were both involved. So, yeah, really cool to see them just continuing that rivalry here, this time going in favor of Showtime in the best of 3. I mean, all 3 of them still made it through. As you mentioned, Gerald not making it through, I feel like that just goes to show just the caliber of play at this tournament. He went down to Rogue, Gumiho, and Showtime, and all 3 of those players are world class. So I mean,
those are the 3 players who made it through. He actually had a 4th series and he beat Mana, but unfortunately that wasn't enough to turn the tides. Yeah, a little bit of a surprising result seeing Gerald in last place, but if you look at the details and you look at who he was actually up against, it was rough. It was an uphill battle from the beginning.
Yeah, definitely. As with that, we do have our 3, as you mentioned, Showtime, Rogue, and Gumiho making it through. Then we can head on over to Group B, where we have Björn, Trap, Creator, Rex, and Nicaract.
This time, Björn slept beforehand, right?
Oh, that's a good question. Hold on. Hold on. This was the 25th. This was September. Okay,
Yesterday. Okay.
Yeah. This was
He
yesterday.
probably slept.
He did. He got to sleep. Yeah, he got to sleep.
As far as we're assuming,
Mm-hmm.
he may have just been awake for these past 3 days.
It's possible.
He's past
It's possible.
48, 52, 72 hours.
Aye. But yes, Bjarni comes out in first place. He was able to bring everyone down. He did go to the ace match against Trap. Bear that in mind. Trap did take a map off of Bjorn, was the only one to do so. Outside of that, Bjorn did have a more dominant performance.
Indeed. Yeah, like you mentioned, Beyond Trap and Creator, not a huge surprise that they were the ones who made it out of the group.
Yeah, when it comes to the results, though, something that I find quite interesting here is I was curious which maps were taken in and who was able to take what series. Nicorect, he went down to Bjorn, he went down to Rex, went down to Trap. Nicorect 2-0'd Creator.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It very much so is. It was unfortunate that was the final match that Nicorect played in this group stage and this tournament, because maybe if it happened a little bit earlier, could have got a little bit of momentum going. But yeah, that's again goes to show just what the level of competition is in the Wardy TV Festival and just how closely matched these players are.
Definitely. So, a shout out to Creator Trap and Beyond for making it out. And again, to see Nicorect taking down Creator 2-0 is very impressive. Nicorect, his TVP is looking very scary. It's very aggressive. It's very committed as well. So it looks like he might have been able to catch Creator off guard in that series. May have gone down, but at least didn't go down without a fight.
Yeah. And I'm gonna assume that that's also going to be the case here in Group C. I chose not to refresh the bracket because I don't want any spoilers going on here, and I don't want to reveal them live either. But it is currently on the way, and yeah, I do imagine we're going to see a very similar scenario where there's going to be only 3 players are going to be making it out, but the 2 that don't make it out will at least take a couple maps or maybe even a series.
Well, because we weren't able to see the groups last week, just because the qualifiers were still going on, we can actually have a little bit of fun this time. We have Group C and Group D. Group C is currently underway, of course. Predictions, Yaku. Predictions. We have our 5 players. We have Nightmare, MaxPax, Oliveira, Cure, and Young Yakov. 5 very strong players in this group. You could even argue this might even be the group of death, to be fair. There might be like
it's hard to predict a clear favorite here, yeah.
Yeah, so who would you... I'm not necessarily saying the rankings. I'm not going to go that far, but which 3 do you think will make it out?
Well, I gotta be honest, like, Nightmare has really been impressing me this past week. And especially since there's only one Zerg player in here in Young Yakov,
True.
I think it's very, very doable for Nightmare, so I'm gonna put him up there. Oliveira, I always gotta cheer for my boy, old mate Peinan. Peinan Joa. So Nightmare, Oliveira, and... I might be revealing my bias here, but I'm going to go with MaxPax over Cure.
Oh, okay.
Over Cure or Young Yakov.
Over Cure.
I still hold a grudge for I still hold a grudge against Cure for embracing the Cyclo meta. It's what I'm going to go for. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Cure makes it out. I mean, he is just a great player, but I still hold that grudge. I'm like, Cure, you were supposed to cure the sickness, the degenness, not embrace it.
You became the sickness. No.
SMH hedge Cure, and yeah, Young Yakov is obviously the underdog here. I would love to see him make it through, but he's got a very tough road ahead of him.
Yeah, like as you mentioned, I do feel like Young Yakov is the current weakest player in the group. Could cause upsets, 100%. But the other 4 are very interchangeable. I would probably have to echo you though. I think I'm also I think I also feel like oh my god. Yeah, I'm not gonna echo that part, I don't think. Oh my god. Calm down, Yaku, calm down. I do think that despite MaxPax maybe struggling in some of these online events this week, he's still been having some really deep runs. I do think that MaxPax should be able to make it out of this group. Likewise, Nightmare has been looking very impressive, specifically this week. So I do think that he's on fire. I do think that he can keep up the momentum. I want to say that he can make it out. Oliveira as well as one of the best Terrans in the world, right off of the back of the event in Bulgaria, where Oliveira came second. We spoke about that last week. We didn't really get to bring it up here because we haven't seen Oliveira in any of these online tournaments. But Oliveira did just come out second place in an offline event, in a massive offline event. So I do feel like he should be another sure thing out of this group.
Oh yeah, he's got the momentum going.
But again, it's totally possible for Kira to make it out as well. It's just there's
Yeah.
a little bit more excitement around the other three than Kira at the moment.
Yeah.
But could definitely make it through as well.
Yeah. Oh, and if he does, hopefully he does it without cyclone builds. He can still make cyclones. It's just don't build it. Don't base an entire build around them, please, Cure.
There you go. When it comes to Group D, which is tomorrow, by the way, Group D is going to be taking place tomorrow. We only have 4 players currently confirmed: Shin, Cristiano, Ryung, and Clem. But there's also TBD to consider.
Oh, I got my eyes on him.
Just saying.
TBD. I like him. I like his chances.
I like him too.
we don't know too much about him, but
don't.
that's what makes him so much scarier, right?
Yeah, we like the mystery. We like the ambiguity, the stoicness.
Yeah.
Ryan, who do you think? Top 3?
I'll go with top 2 first. Obviously, I mean, Clem is a heavy favorite coming into this, so Clem definitely. With the TBD, it throws a bit of a wrench into plans, but I mean, Shin has been looking really good in these past couple of online events, been refining a lot, and I guess it's no surprise for me specifically. I got him on my keyboard. I got to go with Ryuk over Cristiano.
The Tuna Terran himself. I mean, those are some strong picks. Those are definitely some strong picks. I do agree in the sense, Shin and Clem, I think they're top 2. Clem and Shin, I do think they should be able to make it out of this group. I think they're both very much so in form. When it comes to the third player, that's a little bit more up in the air. I want to get behind the Tuna. I want to get behind. That means multiple things, though. We got Ryung, the Tuna Terran. Meanwhile, we got Cristiano, the Sparkling Tuna as well.
Sparkling Tuna. Yeah.
Honestly, I'm the most excited for that
S13.
series. Yeah, I want to see them face off, and I feel like the winner will make it through. Honestly, I think it's going to come down to Cristiano and Ryung.
Nope.
Going to come down to that best of 3.
The winner will make it through and will claim the title.
Yeah. Of the Tuna. Battle of the Tunas. Mate, let's go. I'm actually really excited for Cristiano versus Ryung. So, I look forward to that. It's going to be taking place tomorrow over on Wardy's channel. So do look forward to it. TBD is also a wild card. It could be, a player like Wayne. It could be Zoun, for example. It could be thinking of a Terran example. Yeah, it could be Zoun.
Interesting to have. He's only been back for like 2 weeks, but if he's available,
could be Trigger. Could be Estrella. Could be anyone. Could be anyone.
Yeah. Could even be you.
It could be you,
viewer.
Yeah. Could be. Trigger, if you're watching. So I do look forward to it over the rest of the week. When it comes to the playoff bracket, that is also scheduled for this week as well, which is quite an intense schedule. So it's going to be today Group C, tomorrow Group D, and then the day after that is the beginning of the round of 12. Yeah.
I believe Saturday is going to be the round of 12 and the quarterfinals, or at least half of the quarterfinals. I'm not sure how Woody really plans to split up, and then Sunday is going to be the rest of the playoffs.
Yeah. So a very intense week here, and of course we'll be going over the results in next week's podcast.
Indeed, we will. We're gonna have our minds blown as TBD just wins the entire thing.
Exactly. And with that, I believe that is the wrap up of every event this week.
The wrap up of every event this week. Some interesting content that has come out recently as well, and some of the upcoming announcements to look out for.
Oh yeah. And with that,
particularly Home Story Cup, I guess that's the main one that we. I think the only one that we really talked about.
Yeah, Home Story Cup, the future documentaries as well. But when it comes to upcoming events, that is when the sign up list comes into play. If you're a player out there or if you want to take part, then there is a link to the sign up list where you can sign up for every event that is coming up here in the StarCraft community, in the StarCraft scene. And there is the event that you alluded to when referring to seeing how Battle B performs, how 4GB performs, how the German scene comes together. Gabe's tournament, the big Gabe Ziperian Craft is tomorrow.
It's Experian.
Not the Big Gate
Pretty sure
battle.
it's
but
Experian.
Experian?
Okay.
Experian? Okay.
Mhm.
Not the Big Gate battle, but the
Mhm.
Experian Cup. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's actually tomorrow. I didn't realize how soon it was gonna be.
Ooh. Showtime gonna have to crunch.
He will.
Oof.
So we have the Big Gabe event tomorrow. We have the StarCraft Evolution League over the weekend. We have STC, TTT, Water TV Monday, which is the source. I mean, all of our regular weekly events are coming back as always. So do look forward to the upcoming tournaments.
Yeah. Look out for them and participate where you can if you're interested in those. It's, again, really a way to continue keeping the scene healthy, and
Mhm.
don't be discouraged if you're worried about going up against pros.
Definitely. I see Sinistro asking about the event and how close it is. I mean, there's a lot of close European countries. Depending on the cost of a train tickets, I mean, I feel like neighboring countries
Well,
could get involved and could travel.
yeah, if you're close-ish by, if you're in like Poland or Czechoslovakia, but
Yeah.
you always got to remember
Guys, Czechoslovakia
you always got to
doesn't
remember
exist.
the Deutsche Bahn. It's you always got to remember it. It might not be super expensive to take the train down to Cologne, but I've heard horror stories from people who were trying to go down to back in the day. We had like I think WCS Leipzig or even Home Story Cup. There's
Mhm.
something going on in the tracks in Germany that they break down a lot apparently.
Yeah, I was curious. I was curious exactly where in Germany this is, and because it's in Cologne, it's actually right next to the Netherlands. So we could even see Mark.
Ooh.
I mean, Mark, Harstem. They might decide to travel on over. Like it's definitely
Loco.
yeah. Loco might rock up as well. Like it's actually
Yeah.
pretty relatively close by compared to like
How
Poland,
many
for example.
Singapores away? How many Singapores away is it?
It looks like I'm eyeballing it. It looks like
Alright.
maybe 3 Singapores,
Okay,
which
so
is
that's
not
about
3
less than
hours.
less than 200 kilometers, something
Yeah,
like that.
like in my mind, to go from end to end in Singapore,
Hmm.
that's like an hour train ride, right? So like 3 hours, right? Like
Well, assuming the train doesn't break down, it's like it is like about an hour. Assuming there's no traffic, if you took a car, that's also about an hour. Yeah.
There you go.
If a
Right
car
next
goes
door.
60 kilometers per hour, then
There you go. We could maybe see some people from France as well, depending on
yeah,
where you are in France. Possible.
yeah, from the north.
Yeah. There you go.
Hmm.
So yeah, keep an eye out for that event tomorrow. We'll see who decides to rock up and who does not. Otherwise, do we have anything else to go over? Producer Kuro.
Producer Kuro.
I would just like
Episode
to remind
16.
everyone that once again we have a bunch of weeklies coming this weekend and on Monday as well. On Saturday there is StarCraft Evolution League, which is played an SC2 Evolution mod. So if you are interested in trying something else than just regular 1v1, then make sure to give that a try. Otherwise, this weekend we have Sparkling Tuna Cup, Tenacious Turtle Tassel, Wordy TV Mondays, and Ursasaurus Cup, and all of those tournaments are open to everyone. So just feel free to pick the one that's the best for your time zone, and try your best in those tournaments. Even if you're an amateur player, you can still try and see how far you can go.
Yeah. You could bear the title of the player who proxy hatched Beyond, for instance.
that could be you.
That is never leaving me, is it?
It should never leave you. Should wear it, Kuro.
There you go. And with that, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you so much for watching. This is, of course, our weekly roundup of your week's events and upcoming events as well here on the CranKy Ducklings with the PondCast. Thank you so much, Kuro, for producing. Thank you so much, Yaku, for joining me as well. And Yaku, where can we find more of you?
Trying to remember what's NDA and what isn't.
Uh-huh.
You can find me around, most likely, !Discord in the chat. If you, for whatever reason, wanted to find me, you can find me over on the CranKy Ducklings Discord server. And I may stream, I may not stream, but if that does happen, Yakuzaku1 over on Twitch. I'm trying to use Twitter less, but I still have a Twitter account over at Empore Yakuzaku. And I'm now on Blue Sky at just Yakuzaku.
There you go. There you go. Check out Yaku for those eventual upcoming Crab Champion streams. I'm sure they're on the horizon at some point. Otherwise, you can follow myself at light_VIP. I do stream throughout the week whenever I can. I streamed yesterday. Wasn't quite able to today, but I should be streaming tomorrow with some StarCraft ladder sessions and potentially other games like Final Fantasy and many others. Also, check out Kuro, as 16 Squads and Seki. Kuro does also stream throughout the week as well. Kuro, where can they find you?
You can find me mostly on the Discord, but also at Twitch TV/16th Squad Sanseki and YouTube at 16th Squad Sanseki, as well as a bunch of other social media. I generally try to keep the same username except for Twitter, which ran out of characters, so it's 16th Squad S. I will try to stream something. As the days get colder and people just spend more time indoors, I will actually try to do more streams because I have a few games to finish. I want to revive my Baldur's Gate free playthrough, so that will be coming on eventually. I also have a list of games I have to go through, so I want to get to that eventually.
I feel like it's the story of everyone right now. We've all got our Steam libraries clogged up, and we'll eventually get there. We'll get there eventually. One day. Regardless, thank you so much for watching. Thanks so much for tuning.
Playthrough.
We will. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for tuning in as well. Again, we're going to be back next week with another episode of the PondCast, and we should be back tomorrow. I say tomorrow. We should be back in 2 days with the StarCraft Evolution League number 3. That'll be our next cast here on the CranKy Ducklings.
Yeah, look forward to that. A little bit of Brute War on StarCraft 2 action going.
Gonna put up on myself. Beautiful.
Yeah. See you then.
And yeah, with that, thanks for watching. Thanks for the support, and we'll see you guys next time. Also, a shout out to all of our patrons. We can do this thanks to everyone on Patreon. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Discord, all things CranKy Ducklings. And thanks to those on Patreon, we're able to fund and support our own tournaments as well. See you guys next time. Hasta luego.
Hasta la vista.
Ciao.
Bella.